Hello and welcome, or should I say hello, hey shipmates, or something like that. This is FPL Mariner. Welcome to the grand opening of Net That Hall. It's my brand new YouTube channel. I've thought long and hard about launching this channel for a while, and I was seriously thinking about even leaving it till the end of the season, but given we're just in such chaos and we're probably in quite a pivotal moment of the season for many managers with all the blanks and doubles and COVIDs and this, that and the other, I thought we'd just give it a go. So what's the channel all about? So first of all, it's full of fishing analogies. Why? Well, because I come from a former fishing town called Grimsby, and Grimsby's in northeast Lincolnshire in the UK. And fishing's sadly long gone, but the football club remains, Grimsby Town FC, nicknamed the Mariners, hence FPL Mariner. And my Twitter handle @FPL Mariner. Now, as I've just mentioned to the lads who are just hiding off screen at the moment, I'll bring them in a minute. We're one of the strongest teams in the Football League. Why is that? Because we're second bottom. So, so whilst I am at the moment a fan of a Football League team, I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to be one for much longer. But anyway, let's hope we are. And obviously those who already know me from FPL Expectations, and I've done some stuff for the Road to Global Glory before as well, you'll know that I like numbers and more numbers. And I do rant a bit, and I am prone to a few jokes, trying to make light of disasters, which do come from time to time as for everybody. But I do have quite an analytical thought process, because that's basically what I do in my job. So I always use stats as a starting point to find players, bargains, and captains. And one of the reasons why I do this is because I live in Singapore and because I work most Monday to Friday. Inevitably, especially at the moment, I can hardly watch a single game. So what do? Well, I look at the stats for a start and decide whether I want to watch the game. It's a bit sad, but hey, that's all we can do. But stats are not the only thing, of course. Eye tests, gut feels, and a lot of luck must align for us to get good ORs. But stats help, as do the help of a lot of the experts who we've got on tonight, and many of the other people who we all, I'm sure, talk to in the community. So the format of the channel. So what are we going to do? Well, routinely, it'll be 2, occasionally 3 shows a week. We're going to plan to do something on a Tuesday, on a Thursday, and occasionally we might do a special. We will bring people in from time to time, as we're doing now. Sometimes we'll record, sometimes we'll be live. It's very much dependent on whether work fits around it, of course. So first of all, looking at Tuesday, what do we do? What we're going to do on a Tuesday? Well, we're going to do the story called basically the matchup show. And this is where I'll bring my good friend in, who else but FPL Lens, Gabe, who is sat pretty much the opposite side of the world to me in California. And he's actually coming on in a little while. Some of you may recall a matchup special I did with Gabe on Expectations a couple of months ago. But if you didn't, do watch it, because it really will tell you exactly how we work. It's super insightful, and it'll give you a really good sneak peek of what you're going to expect next Tuesday when we start doing this. Because the way he does things is a complete polar opposite of mine. So not only with the opposite side of the world, we're also completely opposite in our way of thinking. So what we're going to do during these Tuesday night shows, well, we're going to talk about notable performances and results. We'll have a very quick look at our team, but we're not going to do the same as a lot of other channels do. That is just concentrate on teams and what we're planning on doing in the future. We'll do this tonight because it's an opener, but in future we're going to do very much around numbers. So we're going to talk about weekly fixture difficulties. We're going to talk about the upcoming fixtures and the matchups within those fixtures. We have a cult following now for Soucek Watch, which is the headed matchup for the lovers of potato salad everywhere. So, he is that 5 million goat He is the player who got me a break with my Twitter followers when I got retweeted by Official FPL back in August, because I flagged him then as being probably one of the best options of the season. And, you know, you'll hear tonight, but I heard the word Soucek tonight. Someone is actually mentioned, do we triple captain Soucek this week? So anyway, but that's going on to that later. We're also going to do Gabe's Little Prince pick, and that's basically a differential. The differential that he thinks with his matchups, which is going to be the best option for the week. We're also going to look at more longer-term fixture difficulties, allow us to try and find some good bargains, and also some good people to bring in for the matches in the coming weeks. So do hang around when you. Because Gabe's coming on in about 55 minutes, I think, something like that. And then on Thursdays, or pre-deadline, whenever that's going to be, either live or pre-recorded, as I says, the second show is going to drop, and that's going to be called Catch the Captain. Now, this is going to be a much smaller show, and what we're going to do is, if people have seen on Twitter this week, there's already been a Twitter poll for captaincy. I'm going to keep putting that out every week. The cat, Oliver, wherever he is at the moment, probably asleep somewhere, but he will do his video, his cat video, and he will pick the captain. Now, he's got a better record than I've got in the last 3 weeks, although as I do go to great pains of saying, he once picked Saudi Arabia in the World Cup. So if you like him, good luck, because he's not always right. But that said, he does have quite a following these days. And also, what we'll do is we will look at that stage, we'll look at the captain metric as well. And the metric, again, has got a bit of a following. It's actually just started to suffer just recently because I think it's thinking a little bit more about the fixtures than form. But we'll have to look at that in the weeks to come. It did fail this week, just gone, with Bruno. But he did get the second place return anyway. So that's how it's going to work. And if we do have time to breathe, given the situation with COVID and this, that, and the other, we are going to do some specials. And that's when we'll bring the guys in, people like the lads who are on today. So without further ado, I'm going to bring the guys in and welcome my friends to the channel. Everybody has been very, very friendly to me since I joined the community. First of all, they're all based in Asia. We've got people in KL, we've got people in Singapore, and I think Malacca. First of all, we've got Joe at FPL Zoo, part of the Fantasy Football Hub, and one of my partners in crime in FPL Expectations. We also have Siva. Whoops, let's put you in, Siva. I'm just going to try and get you all in here. Hang on, here we are. We've got Siva as well from FPL Banger podcast. Siva's up in KL and is just smarting from a Bruno Fernandes captaincy fail, but we'll come on to that in a few minutes. And we've also got KT from Fantasy Football Scout Network, who has created with his friends a website, fftitan.com. And you can find him on Twitter at fftitan. And all the contacts for these guys will all be in the show, in the notes at the end. So anyway, guys, it's nice to see you. How's things?
Good to be here. I mean, yeah. so things are pretty crazy after the game week 18. So until right now, still no idea what to do.
I think that might be the common denominator for this show. My immediate thought was to do this on Friday because, of course, we thought the deadline was tonight. And they've, of course, pushed that back. And in a sense, that's given us another 24 hours of purgatory before we can make our decisions.
Yeah, I don't think it's helped at all.
No, I don't think it has. And I mean, you know, how long have we been playing? Just very quickly, just going around the group. How long have we been playing fantasy football? We've been playing 10, 12 years, something like that.
It's about 5 years for me. Yeah, just 5. A while ago, I was playing like Yahoo Fantasy, but that was like really quite a long time ago, and it's gone now.
Yeah, I've started with Yahoo Fantasy as well. Then I started, I think, official FPL 2008. So
I think we all started with Yahoo Fantasy, and I started about 10 years ago as well in FPL.
Yeah, I mean, Yahoo Fantasy was crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm the newbie. I've only been playing fantasy football 4 years.
Ooh.
Wow.
4 years. I mean, as I say, our company at work, they enjoy the fantasy football. So that's when I joined my new company, that's one reason why I started to play. But have you ever known a time? Obviously, COVID's pretty exceptional. But have you ever seen anything quite like this?
No, never.
No, I'm the same.
No.
And I do think how much is good work, good planning, and just how much is just downright good luck. Siva, what do you reckon?
Honestly, this is the first time I can remember this many postponements. I think once, about 6 or 7 years ago, there were matches postponed because there was a windy night in Stoke or something like that. And that was a big deal at the time. We were like, oh my God, my players are not playing. Now it happens every week. You just wake up and boom, your captain's not playing. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's certainly been quite exceptional. And I mean, clearly, I think if there's a lesson that I've learned this year, it's been one of wait, hold. I've got a Braveheart GIF which I put on Twitter. The Mel Gibson with hold. Quite frankly, we have to hold on till last minute, and I think to the detriment of team value, because you just cannot if you make your transfers the moment the deadline just tips over, and the moment the game resets, I think we've got a problem. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. But what I want to point out here is, yes, I mean, the situation is crazy and everything, but however, this same situation applies to all 7.5 million FPL managers as well. So I think people tend to forget that. Sometimes people think, it always rains on myself and things like that, but it's not. The same situation literally applies to everybody. So yes, luck plays a part, but I mean, we're all playing the same literal game, right? So I think it sort of nullifies it. I don't know. I tend not to whinge too much about this at times because I know the same rules, the same situation applies to literally everybody. So we're playing the same game, right? That's what I think.
I agree, and I think there's times when you look at. I mean, with FPL generally, you look at it and you go, this didn't work, but I think I made the right decision. I always go back and say, my Mane triple captain last year. I was convinced it was the right thing to do.
Yep.
But it turned out it wasn't. So you can't beat yourself up about these decisions. But I just think now more than ever, we've got far more serious things in our lives than FPL. So I think what we need to do, and I hope what this show does, is it does bring some thought process, but equally it brings a bit of light relief to what's going on. So anyway, talking about light relief, I'm going to go through your teams. So let's start with you, Joe. So let's just get your team up. Whoops, let's get your team up on the screen. There we go. Whoops, what am I doing? I'm going the wrong ways in. Still learning with this stupid thing. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. 60 points.
Yep.
On a free hit.
Decent.
Tell me about it.
I mean, more than happy because I think even amongst the free hit teams, I think 60 points one of the higher ones. I think free hit team, I think if I'm not mistaken, the top 10K was about 45, 46 average, I think.
Yeah.
So having 60 is actually pretty massive.
I have to say, I mean, there's no point me putting my team up because it's nearly the same as yours again. We're not going to do that. But I mean, look, you obviously had a Bruno blank, but as I said, we're saving that for Siva, so we'll come back to him. But I am going to come to you on the lacquer trap.
Lacquer trap, oh man.
XG 0.01. Now I had lacquer, and I was in a FPL 92 Cup final yesterday this week against Barrow, AFC Barrow. I've gone through the whole tournament. I was in the final, all 92, and this bloody fraud. Let's call him a fraud. He's now on my watch list for frauddom. Well, you know, he did for me big style. I've not seen. I was watching the highlights and I didn't see him, so that's always a bad sign.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he was. I think for the past 3 games before this, he was about like 2.5 xg, about there, and suddenly he just disappeared during the match that we all. Yeah, just disappeared in the match that we needed him the most. So not surprised. No. Thank God it's only free hit.
Well, that's the good thing. Get in the bin. Never to be seen ever again. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Do you think they missed Tierney?
I think so, yes. Because Tierney out is actually really a shocker in FPL. Because Tierney, before this game, he was like, I think one of the top creators of chances, not just for Arsenal, but of all the teams. So missing him, I think was he was really missed.
Yeah.
Especially on the left side.
Yeah, it was. Again, like I said, it just seems that they didn't have a good day at the office, and perhaps Palace did. Certainly defensively. But I just got that feeling, and I said before, I had that feeling that if they got one, they could get a hatful, but clearly they didn't. And of course, we got the clean sheet.
Yeah, I was just glad they got a clean sheet, to be honest.
But only just because it took it took a worldie, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, I think we got lucky with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I mean, look, 36k, happy days.
Yeah, for now. Yeah, because if you look at my game week 19, I have no idea what to do, mate.
Hang on then, let's get that one up on the screen for you. There we go.
Yeah.
So you've got. So I mean, look, my notes say this: you've got a few fires to put out.
A few, yeah.
So I mean, look, this Leeds fixture's hurt you, hasn't it? This Leeds move, this fixture has really hurt you.
Yeah, I lost 4 double game week players just from that fixture alone. Yeah. Just glad Martinez managed to get that Newcastle game because don't really fancy that City game. Yeah. Taylor, according to the latest news, I think he's a doubt for West Ham. So most probably he goes to my bench. Right. But that means we'll have to bring Walker Peters in.
Again, he's only got a single game week.
Yeah, single game week against Leicester.
Which isn't the greatest of fixtures, really, is it?
Exactly. So might be looking at the changes that I was mentioning just now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the moment, according to the screenshot you sent me, you've got the captaincy on Son, but I would imagine that's going to change. At least you've got Vardy. The flag looks like it's come off Vardy, so that looks positive.
Yeah, that looked that was a sigh of relief, to be honest, because there were rumors flying here and there that his hip problem might make him miss a game, but hopefully he can get at least 60 minutes on both games.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so, mate. But I think, look, you're fairly well set. I think you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I would probably dismiss Taylor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
7 double game weekers.
Only 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because.
So you're looking at making a couple of changes, I would imagine, eh?
Initially planning to bring in City assets, especially KDB, but really, really, really unsure whether he's worth the hit, especially for Son, because just got a feeling Son would punish us,
Yeah, I know. We're gonna look at Son later on with Gabe actually. So it looks like he's. I think he's done a little bit of that. So, but your target's top 10k. I think that's within reach, mate.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think my last season was the first time I've ever reached top 10k. It was about 6.5, but that was because I made some crazy moves post restart. So currently looking at 36k is a very good position to be at
really
the moment. So
it's excellent.
I just have to maintain that and probably just make my remaining chips count.
Well, we've got somebody who particularly doesn't like to use chips coming on in a couple of minutes. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move across to Siva and bring his team up. So, okay, mate. So. Free hit again, 50 points. Not bad.
Yeah, around the average, I would say. I think I've seen a lot of worse scores on free hit. And
I have as well.
Yeah, so I think I'll take that.
Yeah, I think anything above. I think what you've got to think about is, what would you have had otherwise? And I think I did some very brief maths about it a couple of weeks ago with mine. When at that stage, I would have had like 7.5 players. The half was Davis. So I call him a half. But I worked out that I needed I reckon it would be about 20 points I would lose. That would be my rough idea, sort of like best case scenario. So what's the damage? If you would have not have free hitted, what would have been the damage?
I'd have lost about 23 points.
Right.
So I think it's borderline, but it seems fair for a free hit,
I think you're right. I think it is borderline because I'm the same. Because I have to say, if I could have got away with not using my free hit chip, I wouldn't have used it. Yeah. But I mean, by the time I got absolutely destroyed by the Villa issues.
Well, we talked about wildcarding in 18, right? And we were
and I nearly did, and that then blew my wildcard out of the water as well because I was thinking about wildcarding, and I was thinking, well, actually, I want Villa players, and I can't wildcard if Villa players if we don't know what's happening with these Villa players, and I'm going to come on to COVID later on, but I don't think we can count on 10 days anymore.
No,
I think we have to think. In fact, I've started flagging players who have got COVID now in my spreadsheet. And I may not bring players in who have had COVID for that reason because I'm not sure whether they're the same player when they come back.
I think we're seeing that with Trent, right? We're starting to see that it does affect them.
I've still got him for tomorrow. I can't get rid of him fast enough, but I can't get it. So anyway, hopefully he might have recovered. He might have had 10 days rest. So let's hope. But no, very quickly looking at your team, and first thing I spotted was courage and conviction, double Arsenal returning defence. Fantastic.
That really wasn't by design. It was just, I wanted all the premiums up top, and Arsenal defence is cheap.
You should have said it was deliberate. I would have if it was me. And of course, Kane, Mr. Dependable.
Very. And you watch the game. He was involved in everything again. And I was tempted. I was tempted to captain him, but I just felt that Parker's comments before the match. It just felt like Fulham were up for a fight, and they really gave Spurs a good game. I don't think they could ask for more.
No, they did. I mean, Kane's XG 0.77, 2 big chances, 1 on target, 2 in the box.
Yeah, but
know?
that's Spurs this whole season, and I've stopped. I've basically tried to ignore the XG when it comes to Spurs now because I think
it's a waste of time. You
it
don't
really
need
is.
because they've blown it out of the water that much. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Although Son might have just balanced himself out for the first time this season.
He gets more than 1 XG, and he doesn't. But a good reminder of just how good Son is, and I'm quite happy because low key him blanking means a lot of people will sell this week, and I reckon he outscores some of the doublers this week.
Very good point. Very good point. And as I say, we're going to come on to Son, but just Son's figures: XG 1.5, 4 big chances, 2 on target, 4 shots in the box, no return. If you captain it, you'd think you'd pissed on a witch. Seriously, I don't know. It would be so much bad luck if you'd have captained Son. You would be absolutely fizzing, right?
No, I think Captain Sterling.
Oh well, no, we'll come on to Sterling in a minute, but you haven't got him, so. But I know someone who has. I think you might have to wait for the second half of the show for that, but no,
I think it'll be worth it.
Sterling. Okay, and a Bruno blank. Come on, man. Now, I said, "Are you going to blame Sam?" You said no.
No.
Just for the benefit of the viewers, Sam is the other part of FPL Banger, the podcast, and I listen to this podcast and I thoroughly enjoy it. So there's my shout out to you guys. But come on, your viewers, or your listeners. Did they all go with Bruno?
It's surprisingly a lot of them did, but they don't seem to hold it against us because Bruno's just been so reliable. Sam has this rule. I try not to follow it too often, but it's Captain Bruno against anybody who's not a top 6 team. I will stress that's not the reason I captained Bruno this week. I just felt that Burnley, they've conceded quite a bit against the big teams, right? They lost 5-0 to City, 3-0 to Chelsea, and you just look at Bruno's records, right? He doesn't blank very often. No. I didn't plan for Pogba playing because Pogba wasn't supposed to be playing, I think. And I didn't plan for Ole starting Rashford, Cavani, Martial, and Pogba, which I guess had to lead to somebody has to defend, right? They can't all attack.
No, absolutely. I mean, it was one of those ones, and I hate this, blah, blah, that, I told you so, and this, that, and the other, and I'm not one to do that. But the point I made about this was I just had a feeling it would be a tough fixture. Yeah. I've been to Burnley on a cold Tuesday night with fans. Without fans, it'll be like Mars. It'll be so bad up there, right? It's such a cold place and the weather's shocking. It's just not the place you want to go and play football on Tuesday night, is I think the point I'm making. And Burnley have a habit of making it very difficult for people, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, I got off quite lucky because KDB should have hauled a lot more than 6. I think I got off quite lucky this week. He should have at least had double digits.
So, no, you're right. And speaking as a KDB captain, I can do nothing but laugh about it because otherwise I think I'd burst into tears. But no, it was one of those ones. And I must just make the slight comment that there's a degree of shithousery on your bench with Mitchell as well. I see.
I have Mitchell in my actual team, so that hurts even more because he would have come in if I didn't bother to free hit. But who's gonna expect that? Clean sheet, 8 points bonus. But I'm happy that he's back in the team. I'm happy that PVA probably won't play football again for Palace. So I've got a 3.9 cheapie. And Palace have decent pictures.
That's great. I'm going to bring him in. I probably will bring him in. He was in my free hit team, but I had him second on the bench, but I didn't need any of them as it happened. I think I had Brewster first on the bench, and a waste of time that was. But anyway, he just works in binary numbers, doesn't he, Brewster? So ones, zeros.
If you ever see me bring in Brewster, Chris, you know my team's been hacked.
Enough said. Right, and very quickly moving on to what's going on in the coming week.
It's just pains to look at that. It's not a pretty sight. I've lost 4 doublers like Joe because of Leeds and Southampton. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I don't think I will wildcard. I did consider it briefly late at night yesterday, but it just doesn't seem like it's necessary. I've got Bruno, I've got Salah, I've got Robo, Kufal, Mane. A lot of people seem to want Mane suddenly, and I already have him. So,
well, it's a differential, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's a differential, and these players, they're not bad. Mane and Salah are not bad players. They don't become bad overnight, right?
Yeah, they beat those kids.
Exactly. And I mean, look, I've got double defence in Liverpool. I'm far more worried about double defence than double attack. So I don't think that's a bad call at all. Although, Man United is one of those games where it could go either way. And Burnley, we've seen what they've just done with Liverpool, although Burnley have a shocking record against top teams away.
And I think a clean sheet is a fair assumption because, all due respect to Chris Wood, he's not scoring goals anytime soon.
Oh, no, you watch him score this week. It's almost written in the stars, especially if Joe keeps 2 Liverpool players. So I hope he sells them.
Yeah, but to be honest, yeah. But the only thing that I'm missing here is KDB and City defense. I don't need City defense this week. I've got Kufal and Robo, and Holding will keep a clean sheet against Newcastle. Yeah. I'm pretty confident of that. So I'll probably just bring in KDB. Maybe I may skip him, but for me, the bigger priority is Soucek. Soucek has to come in this week. Soucek and Antonio for me.
No,
I think that's more important.
I tend to agree with you because I think I might have to do the same thing. Because I've got DCL, who's obviously going to be out for a while, and we don't quite know how long. My moves initially would have been Son to KDB, and possibly TAA down to someone like Diaz to create a bit more money to then do something else the following week. But obviously, I've got fires to put out now as well. So it looks like I'm going to have to run with double Liverpool. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. But I mean, you're talking about Mane to KDB. Do you think that's worth it? Will he rest one game?
Having thought about it, the whole day basically today, I'm starting to think it's not worth it. Mostly because you look at the difference between City and Liverpool is City have 2 days rest. Liverpool have 3.
Yeah.
Mane's definitely going to play. I don't even have to worry about that. KDB could be rested. Who turns down a penalty at 1-0? I mean,
did I see that you had Gundogan as well?
Yes,
apparently KDB gave the ball to Gundo first.
Yes, KDB gave the ball to Gundo, and Gundo. Okay, first of all, Gundo has 2 positives. He's German, so penalties.
Right. Yeah.
And secondly, he's only missed 1. He's taken 10, and he's only ever missed 1. And then Sterling's walking by. I've just come on, can I take 1? And Sterling has missed 3 penalties in a row now. And the moment he stepped up, you knew he was going to miss it.
I was just wondering if the sky's clear tonight, because if we look out now, it's dark. We might just see that ball just orbiting. Because I think, is it still going up?
Probably hasn't come down yet.
It was awful, wasn't it? It was awful. And like I said, the worst thing about it, I would have either got an assist or a goal.
Exactly, and bonus, almost certainly.
It's like, and the captain did. Anyway, so that's the. I think that's life, mate, isn't it? But no, I think if you make those moves, I wouldn't be objectionable to see you do a -4. I think -8. I don't know. I'm -8. So I'm gonna come on to someone who detests hits any second actually in KT. So I'm going to come on to him and let's have a listen to what he has to say. But no, I don't know. I think there's an argument to say if you are bringing double game weekers in, you're starting and they play twice, you're starting at net 0 anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, but like you say, I think a -4. I don't like getting rid of good single game weekers, especially people like Son and Bamford who will have doubles later on. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, thank you, mate. You managed to escape that Bruno question quite well. I was quite impressed.
Like Bruno does, you see.
Yeah, right. We'll come back to it. Don't think you've got away with it because you haven't. I'm still coming back. Right. Okay. So what I'll do now is I'll bring KT in.
Hey, hello, man.
Hello, man. Are you all right?
Yeah. Great. Enjoying it so far. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, KT from at FF Titan. Mate, describe yourself as an FPL manager to me.
Right. So I think I said that I mean how I make decisions, I read a lot. I stats is one of the things I follow, but not the only thing I follow. I just take really quite a lot of information in, then use my gut feel and make the final call. So as an FPL manager, I tend to describe myself as I think we had this chat earlier this afternoon. It's quite funny as well. I think I describe myself as a cheap Scrooge. That means I'm very
Scrooge.
With my chips, I don't want to till I absolutely have them. Scrooge, yeah. And
were you that much of a Scrooge? You never used your first wild card?
No. So that's the thing, right? I did use my first wild card naturally, of course, but I think I used it about game week 9, and I sort of absolutely regretted it, like the moment I clicked. So so the next one I'm gonna really save it. It's a. I mean, I don't know if you noticed usually the wild card splits the season, between 19 and 19. But this season, the second wild card is available from the 16, right? 17. So there's 2 more games in. So if you have already we are talking about game week 19 now, right? So it's not, the season is not even halfway. So that's one reason I think I really want to save the chips. So with that in mind, that is exactly why I didn't use a free hit for game week 18. So if you can see, I only have I had 7 players going into that game, but I know that Gross is not likely to make a start anyway. So so in the end, 6 players played. So I got 39. I think I'm pretty happy actually overall. I mean, of the 6 players I had, I guess Kane would have been a better captain choice in retrospect, of course. But I think KDB did return with an assist. I'm happy. So 39 above average. I mean, it's a decrease in the ORA, just a slight decrease. I think about 15k decrease. So not too bothered. I still have my free hit. I think that's very important.
I mean, I've got to give you some kudos, mate. You've got more balls than me. I wouldn't have gone in with 6. No way. If I was in your position there, I would have hit the free hit chip 100%. So for that fact, 39 points. The average, as Joe said, was 45. You're 6 points behind the average, and now you're in a fantastic position to attack the second half of the season. Because I'll tell you what, holding that free hit chip could be really valuable. I didn't have a chance.
I hope so.
No option. But you've got that chip in hand, so that's really set you up, I think.
I hope.
And like you say, but at least the players that you did have, I think you had some good options there, didn't you? Kane, KD, Bree, and obviously Fernandez did what he did. Bellerin, Diaz, some good players, and I think that's what people were generally saying. If you had a nucleus of good players, you could probably get away with it, but it was always going to be a little bit. It was going to be a bit of hiding behind the sofa, wasn't it? Did you actually watch any games? If I'd have done that, I wouldn't have watched a single game. Not one. I was just hidden.
The games were 2 and 4 a.m. right? In Singapore, so
so you probably did like me, probably at that time. Yeah. Absolutely.
So also, I mean, before the Villa game was postponed, obviously I have 2 more players there. So even I mean, obviously the game week was after the deadline was after the Villa game was postponed. But I thought long and hard and just gonna stick with this.
Isn't that so annoying? I mean, because you've done very well as it happens, but again, you probably took your time. You've like you say, you consider yourself a fairly conservative sort of manager. I would say by what you're saying, like I say, a bit of a chip Scrooge and doesn't like necessarily take hits unless you're absolutely necessary. And you probably built your team in anticipation for this strategy, and then you lose players like that. So it's a real kick in the teeth to get that. But I think coming out of it, you've done really well. And you stayed in the cup as well, I saw.
Yeah, I know. It's probably not worth getting too excited about the cup, given it's like 22 rounds. But it's
No.
So a small thing.
Someone asked me, would I? You're not playing with 7 people. You might get knocked out of the cup. I went.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
But as it happened, I had to. I only had. I think I only had 2 starting.
Okay.
In the end, I would have had 5 or 4.5, and then I would have took a few hits to have got up to about 7. But no, I didn't have any at all. So okay. So what? 145k again, going in the right direction. Slight red, but going generally in the right direction. So you must be aiming for what? Top 50, maybe even higher.
I don't know. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I don't want to set a target because it's difficult. This game is really difficult. There's so many good players and so many active players. So I just want to enjoy the game. I think I'm doing better this season than any of the season before as well. So I just want to enjoy the game. I'm not really fixated by this aura. I just want to play well. Make no stupid mistakes and things like that. Just see where I get to the end of the season. Yeah.
So anyway, so that's a really good. So done really well this week, just gone in 18 and 19. What are you planning? What's your plans? I think I counted you 10 double game weekers there.
Yes, I think 1. Oh, yeah. If you count Johnston, that's 10.
Yes.
So I think it's 9 otherwise. So yeah. Correct. So I think I definitely want to bring Salah in just because he has 2 home games. I know one of them is against. I mean, you guys discussed it's United, not easy. Burnley, very defensive, fine. But I still think I do want him in. And it's a transfer, so I want him back in my team anyways for the long haul. So yeah, this might as well be this week that I bring him back in. Yep. So yeah, and before that I have Kane. I mean, Kane do have a good fixture. It's against Sheffield United away, is it? Yeah. Spurs is just one, but it's just 1 game, so I'm just gonna have to check him out. I know. Right now, I'm thinking Jay Adams, but I think not sure. I don't want Antonio.
There's a nervous laugh coming from this end of the line because anyone that start mentioning Shay Adams, it's like there's Shay Adams. There's a few nemesises which you'll get to know from me. One is Shay Adams, another one is Callum Wilson, and another one is Rich Allison. And I've just added Lacazette to the list this week as well. So if anyone starts talking about Shay Adams, then. It makes me. I get a nervous sort of like twitch.
Right. But I mean, if I want Salah, I don't have a lot. Well, obviously, I think I have about 6.6. Yeah, 6.6. Yeah, so I don't have much options. So the 2 other options that's possible is Antonio. I don't really want Antonio because I would have tripled up on West Ham if I have Antonio. Not too sure about that. So the other choice is Watkins, but I think there's rumors that he has COVID. I mean, so I'm not sure. Yeah, so
we haven't seen him training in his garage yet, have we?
Yeah.
The others training in the garage and things like that. Look, my question to you is that the moves that you're making, are you creating yourself a benching headache with 8 perfectly playable assets in midfield and up front? And if you are creating yourself a bit of a benching headache, are you not tempted to bench boost?
Have I not thought about it? Yes, I've thought about it, but I think I would use the bench boost only on a week if I have 14 or 15 players on a double game week. Because if you think about it, right? If say I have 10 full players here, that means I have 5 players not on the double game week. If I use the bench boost, it's technically no different from using a bench boost from any other week, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, in a way. So that's why I don't think I will use the bench boost. I may consider the triple captain. As you guys mentioned, either Fernandez, KDB, or Salah.
I mean, I know it's a little bit pie in the sky, but I've looked at Fantasy Football Hub predictions for your bench, and I came up with it predicted 17 points. And again, it's a funny one, and I'll bring the other guys in on this question because obviously we've gone through all the teams now, and I'll bring you all back in a second. But guys, just to in advance of what I'm going to ask you, what do you think is a suitable number of points for a bench boost, for example? Because I think, Johnson, Dallas, Bamford, KWP on the bench, it's not out of this world. I know they're not double game weeking like you would want them to, but they're good fixtures. So are you going to miss an opportunity? I looked at it and I thought, do you know what? I'm not convinced here. I thought I might have bench boost, but I mean, obviously, again, you're Mr. Ebenezer Chip Scrooge, as you've already called yourself, and you're maybe just going to say humbug to me, and you're going to look for the ghost of bench future or something like that, and try and play
the ghost of double game weeks yet to come.
Yeah.
I mean, you are right. I mean, obviously, time will tell, but I don't know. I still don't. I don't know. I know there's a double game week coming up in 26 or 25. So my long-term plan is definitely wildcard the week before that. Set myself up nicely for 15, at least 14 with double game week. Then safely, as safe as possible. Then,
of course, you're in the perfect position because you've got your free hit to play perhaps in 29 as well. When people like myself and Joe and Siver will be probably crying into our coffee by that stage, I would imagine. So anyway, so that's fantastic. So look, thanks very much for that. I'm going to bring you all back in now because I'm really interested in this. If I can get the right screen. Whoa, add. There we go. Add. So, Joe, would you bench boost with that team?
I mean, considering he has a second keeper, I might. I would. I mean, like what KT has mentioned. I think playing a wild card before playing a bench boost is basically one of the better strategies around.
Yeah.
So unless you really want those points next game week, then it might be worth bench boosting because especially since you have a playing second goalkeeper. But if you are not too fussed of getting, there is definitely game week 26. And then you have a few odd double game weeks here and there, especially with Spurs and some of the other teams that have just Leeds United,
Villa.
Villa as well. So they are all pretty attacking teams.
Yep.
So Leeds could give you good budget players, Villa as well. No hurry to use the Chip Scrooge, probably probably it's a good term, but I would say it's also worth playing safe. No hurry. I mean, imagine if you are already if you can get in a good position without using chips.
Yep.
Imagine what you
could do with it. Yeah.
It's just like a nitro boost. At the end of the season, so yeah.
No, I think you make a good point. I think probably, again, I'm just looking in the chats. There's got Harry from FPL Tips on. Hi, Harry. Thanks for supporting us. He said that 16 minimum on bench boost. So I think that's 4 players, 2 points each, right?
Yeah.
2 games.
So
2 points each game, right? So that's 4, 16. That's the minimum. So, but I mean, again, I don't know. These predictions are a little bit all over the place anyway. And of course, Bamford on any one day can go crazy, of course. But no, interesting point about the teams and what struck me looking at those things. We've obviously got. So I'm another one. So I think we've got 3 people who free hitted and 1 person who is lucky. So quite frankly, kudos to KT. I think for the. I think for should we say winning the week.
Okay. Yes.
No, I genuinely think you probably have, because I think, you're so close to that average that you've got a really good chance to really benefit in the later half of the season, and I think that's key. I'm just going to very quickly say hello to a few people, because I'm just mindful I've been on for nearly 50 minutes and not said hello to anybody yet. So who have we got on? Oh, there's my wife on. Hello, Jolene. Abhilash, thank you. All the best. Lasbello. There goes my question for the reasoning behind the name. There we go. Gabe's coming on. Q&A's. Taran, if you want, I've got any questions, fire them on the comments and we'll answer them. Thavinda Raj, hi mate. Hardy, hello man. These are all my friends from Expectations. Masha, hi man. Astrolicious, hey Simeon, are you okay? Interesting to see, people have already been playing second year, fourth season, third season, fifth year. I think, did I see there's something like 7.9 million players this year? Now, how many people just keep creating teams trying to just get the highest points for 1 week, right? But I don't know. But there's a lot of people playing, isn't there?
Yep.
So. Samuel, on Expectations, who came on last week, our Laka versus Cavani thing went well, eh, Mariner? I think we said both were good options. Please don't unsubscribe now. Just we don't talk rubbish all the time. Sterling, one of the biggest traps of the season. Well, we've got Sean coming on in a few minutes, so when Sean comes on, we're going to ask him about it. Because Sean actually had Sterling. I don't think he captained him though. Sorry, hi man, all about FPL. Blue Nix 99. Odin, Cancelo, Gundogan, and KDB for the free hit was grim.
So much potential, though. So much.
But I think that's the point, isn't it? Was that a bad call? Was Gundogan a bad call? No.
I had Gundogan. Definitely not a bad call. If you see the chances he had.
Yeah, exactly. So no, there's no bad calls there. Question from Ali Sufyan: Kane to Vardy, Rafinha to El Ghazi, and Wood to Watkins. Well, anything which involves getting rid of Wood, I'm all for. But Watkins, we don't know, do we? What do you think of this one, boys? Who wants to take this?
To me, definitely no. It's too many hits, number one. And
that's the obvious answer.
Vardy is also on a single game week, right? No, Vardy's on double. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, like you said, Watkins is not even clear, and I don't know. El Ghazi is, well, he did well for a period of time, but he's never shown consistency in the. He's been with Villa for I think more than 2 or 3 seasons. But I think he's just got a one good purple patch. But I'm not sure. I'm just not sure that he can deliver consistently. I think Rafinha may deliver actually against who've got Leeds to have Leeds got.
It's a single game. Is it just Brighton now?
Brighton at home, right?
Yeah, just Brighton. Yeah.
Definitely.
And that's his other option: Kane, Antonio, Rafinha to Grealish, and Wood to Watkins. I mean, look. I mean, my immediate thought here is, I'm not sure I'd do much here. Kane, you could nearly keep and play against Sheffield, against Sheff United. Antonio, yes, I can see why people want Antonio. I do, but is he going to play 2 games? I don't know. So please don't ask me. I have no idea. Rafinha to Grealish, is he fit? We think he is. Is he a good option in the long term? Yes, definitely. But what I do it this week, I don't know. I might if I'd free hitted the week 4, I might actually just ride this and then try and go in with 2 free transfers, because there's quite a fixture turn, isn't there? There's some. You've got Manchester United with some reasonable fixtures coming up. You've got Leicester with a couple of really juicy fixtures coming up. Joe knows all about that. He's got Vardy in his team. Got Man City defence now, who look very, very strong indeed for the next few weeks. So I think there's moves which we're probably going to have to make And I'm a bit like KT here. I don't like to take hits either. And I know you used to take a lot of hits, Joe, didn't you? But I think you're even trying to pull yourself in a little bit and not quite go to crazy these days.
Yeah, I mean, last season I took about 16 hits, I think.
16, yeah, I took about. But I think if I remember, I think the first thing I did, I'm quite analytical about it, and I started like looking through my transfers and going, right, okay, so I took him out, and oh God, look what happened here. So what I'm doing, I've worked out that I'm doing a lot more sitting on hands these days, and I think again, given the COVID situation, I think sitting on your hands isn't a bad idea. Fix it broken. Fix the weakest link in your team. Is Kane the weakest link in your team? I'm not sure he is. And I think that's probably the answer which a lot of people maybe need to think about here. Grealish, would you bring somebody in about who's just, we don't know that he's had COVID, do we? Let's face it. And we may not know. And rightly so, because this is medical history, medical information is people's private information, and we wouldn't expect to know it. But that said, if Grealish all of a sudden comes back and he's struggling, then that's a wasted transfer. Whereas somebody like me, I'm going to hold Grealish because I've had him for ages. And I'm only moving DCL out because he's only got one leg. Otherwise, even with his form, I'd probably still be keeping him. Because again, I see with the players coming back into Everton's side, I see potentially him doing okay. Right. Here's one. Thoughts on Werner since Ziyech is back?
I had Werner from game week 1 to game week 9. It's a ride of emotions, right? So I had the highs of the haul against Southampton, and I watched him miss an open goal at St. James Park against Newcastle.
Ouch.
And that's when I sold him, because I decided that I was tired of people telling me the XG is good. The XG is good. The XG is good because he misses open goals.
I've had previous with him this season as well, and I've had previous. I was patient. Oh, he's okay. He got an assist. I think game 3. I think he got an assist. Yep. That's all right. Right, we're underway now. Blank again. And then I think I booted him out in 5, and he got a return. I think Shea Adams, I got rid of him in 6, and then he started returning. That's why he's on my most hated list. But again, with these bad moves, maybe Werner at the start of the season, I'm not convinced that was the wisest of moves, because I think what we learn, and I think like me, it's a very good point that we're in the transfer window again now, when there's going to be new players coming in. And I think what we've got to do is going to take time for these players to bed in. It's going to take time for these players perhaps to get up to fitness if they've not been playing. So we've got to be careful about moving these players in too early, in my opinion. So,
you get people like Bruno, right, who just came in and took to it like a duck, like water. It's just,
I know, but saying that, that's rare, I think. I don't think that happens very often. That's my opinion anyway. Okay. Just a couple more. I can see. We'll add him in. Hello, Gabe. How are you?
Good morning, everybody.
How's life in California?
The sun is slowly coming up here. It hasn't really popped its head over the horizon yet, but things are slowly getting brighter here.
Fantastic. So anyway, we're just going to finish off this little section, Gabe, but feel free if you want to jump in on anything. We value your expertise, of course. Here's the first. So, would you bench boost with McCarthy, Dallas, Rafinha, Bamford, Kearns, and the rest have a double? The rest have a double. So, who would you? So I think McCarthy. There's some good players there. I think there's some good single game week players there.
So I think he has 9 double game week players and 6 single game week players.
Interesting one. I think he's got 2 keepers. I'm pretty certain he's got 2 keepers.
Yeah.
Gabe, what's your view?
I've been of the view this season that it's such a crazy season that take whatever's given to you. So if you have a full playing bench with good matchups, whether it's single game week or double game week, I say hit that bench boost and move on, and then kind of reinvest into your starting 11. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I had no idea I was going to bench boost until maybe like a week ago, but I'd still been planning for it. So I'm not jam packed with double game week players. I have several. I think I have 4 single game week players, and I'm going for it, and then moving on. So that would be my advice. Whatever this season gives you, take it, because it's going to take from you more than it gives.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, again, I would love to have bench boosted this week, but saying that, I would have had to have wildcarded last week to have done that anyway, because I didn't have I got destroyed by Frank Lampard and Chilwell, quite frankly. I think Joe did as well. Well, you know, we're not brothers, Joe, but we do have very similar teams, don't we, mate?
Yeah.
Okay, so just very quickly, and then we'll let you guys go. Which is the better pick going into the double, Vardy or Salah? Siva?
Has to be Salah. I think Joe will tell you that owning Vardy is a very frustrating experience because you can't predict the hauls. He's gonna, haul against United and blank against West Brom. He's that kind of player. Whereas Salah delivers when you need him to, okay, the last few weeks accepting, but typically he scores in the big, against the lower team. So Vardy's such a frustrating asset, though, and I feel not captainable.
Yeah, I mean, you can't predict his hauls, and you can't predict his hip as well.
Can't predict his hip, and you can't predict the pens,
Oh yeah. But I mean, he has that explosiveness. Whether worth captaining, that would be another question altogether. But I think he has just been declared fit. So whether fit enough for both games or maybe full games, probably not. But Salah, I think he loves playing at home, but he tends to disappear against big teams. I'm not sure about that. But he loves playing at home.
Yeah.
So and he had his rest.
Yeah.
So,
But I think Salah has never scored against United. I think I need to check. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean,
well, he could break that duck. So
yeah.
Okay.
I would say owning Vardy is a state of mind. You have to have this certain mindset to own Vardy and be kind of like okay with a little punishment. If you're not okay with punishment, if you're in a fragile state of mind, stay away from Vardy. But comparing Vardy to Salah, it has to be Salah every time, like Siva said.
No, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, look, that's the first section done. So Joe, I think you're going. I think your little girl needs you.
I'm not sure whether she's asleep already or not. I'll just probably have to pop by and check.
When it's too quiet, it's usually not good news when it's too quiet.
It's getting quite late here, to be honest, though. So I think that's fair. That's fair play. Siva, thank you very much, mate. Feel free to fire away at the questions and quiz this gentleman who knows far more about football than I ever will.
I'm hoping he'll sell me on the Soucek captaincy.
Well, this is all coming up. This is the exciting bit. We're getting to the real nitty-gritty in the second half. So anyway, KT, thank you very much, mate. And as I say, what I'll do is we'll make sure we put all the contacts for you in the comments. And thank you very much for coming. I greatly appreciate it.
it's been a pleasure.
Great. All right, to see you guys.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. So I'm just trying now to find Shom. he's trying. I think Shom's trying to get in, but he's not in yet. So
he's hiding behind the curtain backstage. Is it?
Yeah, I don't know where he is. He's not here. So yeah, I don't quite know. I don't quite know what's going on here. But anyway, whilst we're trying to get him on, how's things, man?
Things are good. I woke up for the moment of launch right at 6 a.m. my time. Went back to sleep for 15 minutes and then had you guys in my ear while I made my coffee and stuff. Congratulations are in order. Really, really nice job, Mariner.
Well, I mean, it's like anything. I think what I'm trying to do is just bring something just a little bit different, and I think that's something which basically my appetite was whetted when we did the special on expectations, where we started to, dig into football in a little bit more detail and a bit more, trying to be a bit more analytical about it. And I love that sort of stuff. You see, so if we can do that, and all the better. That's the way I look at it. So and so I'm just trying to. I'm going to let you just tell us about your team, but I still can't get Shom in for some reason. I don't quite know why he's here, but we'll start with you anyway, mate. So let's get your team up. Take that comment off as well. I think where's that comment? I need to take that one off. There we go. So 42 points.
42 points.
Another one who managed to get away with not hitting the free hit chip.
I have to say I couldn't be happier with the the way that this game week worked out. Obviously, I was taking a huge risk. I don't have that many players. Brewster, the eternal half man, 1-pointer nailed every single week. So
he's the eternal half man. I called him Mr. Binary.
Mr. Binary, huh?
Ones or zeros. Right? Ones or not.
I call him every time I think of Brewster. I think of Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones, and I think it's in the first season. Certainly in the first book, he finishes his battle, and then all the warriors start chanting half man. So I'm always chanting half man for Brewster.
He's, to be honest though, and I mean this in the nicest possible way. Is there a worse transfer there's been this season than that?
It won't surprise you. I have a little bit of a different lens on Brewster. I actually think Chris Wilder is the problem with Brewster. If we look at the success Brewster has had in the past, certainly with I believe Gallagher last year in the championship. I think it was Gallagher that was playing him. He was playing him just really early through balls. So when was it? He was at West Brom, if I'm not mistaken. When West Brom would win the ball last season in the championship, they actually had I think one of the highest, perhaps the highest pass completion percentage in the championship. West Brom did, and that was a lot thanks to Gallagher, and it was a lot thanks to they would win the ball in the midfield and just immediately look up. If you see when Sheffield United win the ball, if you look at the space that Brewster is in, the moment of transition, he's always in great space. The problem is Wilder instructs Sheffield United to get the ball wide as soon as they win it. So whenever they win the ball, wherever they are on the pitch, they look to the wings because they want to get the ball up the flanks. And we'll see later where kind of Baldock's positioning is. He's one of their main outlets going forward. But that's not Brewster's game. Brewster's game is in transition, immediate space, play a ball through, and he'll slip in behind that back line. So I kind of blame Wilder for. I think with a different manager, I think Brewster would be. Hey, Shom.
Hey, there we are.
Finally.
It took a bit of time, but I've got there eventually, haven't I?
We're just going. Phil, just listen in for a minute, buddy, and we'll just.
Go ahead. Yeah.
We'll bring you in a second. Thank you.
So, Shom, I'm talking about Sheffield United here, and Chris Wilder. It's this kind of like steadfast commitment to playing the ball wide, even when that might not be the best option. So I really think Brewster with a different type of manager, with a manager that can be a little bit more adaptable, that isn't so kind of set in one way of getting the ball wide. I think Brewster would be not only a full-time nailed 90-minute player, but one of the better values in FPL this season. Wilder is the biggest problem with Sheffield United.
Yeah, it seems like typical second season syndrome, doesn't it? I also had 1.5 from him sat on the bench as well. So, but I mean, look, just going back to your team, you know, as I've said to the other guys earlier, average was 45. You're 3 off that. You've got a small red arrow. You know, I said earlier, I just wished I didn't. I really didn't want to hit the free hit, but I did. But again, courage and convictions, double city defence. You know, you told me, I did it too. Thank you, mate. I really want to listen to you more.
I've been on double city defense for maybe 4 game weeks, something like that. The whole Christmas period, I've been on double city defense.
Right.
Got stones at 4.9. I just that's where the value has been. We've all been talking about how City has been struggling to finish chances, to break down deep blocks, but they haven't been struggling defensively. So I thought that's where I would go.
Yeah, no, and it turned out
we
to be
should
the right
all
decision.
listen to.
I
We should all listen to Gabe all the time. Yeah,
I think it turned out to be the right decision, didn't it, Sean? But we'll come to you in a minute. What else I wanted? Bailly as well, 7 points. Was that the fact that you saw some injuries? That's why you went, or was that always a move that you were planning on making? Or
you know, Bailly, as soon as he got a couple of starts and I saw how well he was playing, I rated Bailly quite highly when United bought him. I thought he was a very good defender, and then I couldn't really understand why it didn't translate to the Premier League, because he has been bad in the Premier League. But I saw Bailly start 2 games and just play out of his mind, play way better than Lindelof did, in my opinion. So I thought Lindelof, a back injury can be very tricky. And can reoccur at a moment's notice. It can impact all sorts of things, like you know, obviously the knees, and then the muscles. If the back is kind of out of whack, then the muscles get tight as well. So I just thought Bailly could be nailed at least for a few game weeks here.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I was sweating it a little bit when he had the neck injury, But I had to just at that point I'd already kind of made my bed and I just kind of went for it. And my goal was to be within like 10 points of the average. I thought if I was 10 points under that I could still that I could take that hit, and I ended up with a small green arrow 100K with 42. So I couldn't have asked for a better.
No, definitely not. You had a good week. And as I say, I just wish I was in that position that you are. And just moving on. So you're planning on bench boosting with single game weekers?
Yes, indeed. But if you look at the single game weekers, right? Bamford against Brighton, great matchup. Holding against Newcastle, great matchup. And the half man, just the token half man.
He might play one day. You never know. He might get more than 1 point one day. You never know.
I think he will. I mean, I think Wilder cannot continue doing the same thing, or else he'll get canned. And if he does get canned, then that could be an opportunity for Brewster. Yeah. But I've been kind of planning this bench boost for several weeks now, and it's kind of, if I were to free hit this week, it would look similar to this team, I think, for me. So that I'm putting kind of my chips. Whereas I took it on the chin in 18, I'm investing everything into 19, and we'll see where that lands me.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. So, and I say I put this number into the Fantasy Football Hub prediction thing again. It come up with 17 points. Would you be happy with 17 points?
Be very happy with 17 points. I think what I'm going for, I think a successful wild card. If I can average 4 points per player.
Yeah, 16.
So 16, 20, I think is a great start. Not wild card, a bench boost. I'm moving on. Super happy with that.
I think that's fair. Okay, so let's move to you, Sean. And what? I mean, look, I always put the Twitter pictures there. You know, don't panic. Is that quite appropriate from this week?
I never panic. And Gabe knows enough of me to know that, you know, it just good weeks, bad weeks. I brush them off pretty quickly. So I've heard that.
There's a little bit of like the karmic wheel in effect here, because Shams don't panic comes from a place where we each scored 42, which we all know is the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Right.
And Sean telling us not to panic. So this is a very serendipitous moment.
It is absolutely so well put. I was just about to say that. Well,
let's thank small mercies, Sean. You didn't captain Sterling.
I didn't captain Sterling. Yeah. So that was one point when I kind of lost it for a few seconds. And you know what? This was pretty late in the evening in India. This was pretty much the next day in India, right? So, because it was like 12:30 at night, something like 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then this specific move, early morning. Yeah. So right before the match finished, just before I'm just about to close it off and go, they get this penalty through De Bruyne. I know that if he gets it, it's 20 points, and I close my eyes and I'm telling myself, get it. Yeah. De Bruyne is the captain. He already had an assist, so pretty surely he would have gotten 3 points, right, as bonus as well.
So there's bonus points and everything. Exactly. Then a missed penalty on Sterling. And even if Sterling, if Sterling had scored, you've got assist points and that.
Yes, exactly. So I calculated that to be around 20 points, right?
Yeah.
So, but then you win some, you lose some. It took me around what, 10 minutes. I went over to the Telegram chat that we have. I cribbed a little bit, then I came back, and it's a new day. It's all right.
Look, I'm not sure that. I think it's the first time we've spoken, Sean. I know we've talked many times over on Telegram.
Yeah, chatted.
I'm not as calm as you.
Okay.
No way. I think I would have lost it. I think I'd have had security round at the condo.
Well,
it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Just looking at the rest of your team. Double Spurs clean sheet wipeout. Bad guess to go for that. I think. I don't think that's a terrible. I don't think that was a terrible thing. Not wasn't the wrong thing to do.
Right. I thought so. I thought that Spurs isn't a great attacking team, and with Spurs at the moment is not a great attacking team. So the way I was thinking was that probably Kane and Son was a little bit of an overkill, and if Spurs has to get the win by a single goal, etc., probably Kane is a better choice than Son, and that was the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
If, say, for example, Mourinho's plan was to win 1-0, right? If they would have actually 1-0, I would have gotten both the Lloris points as well as the Dare points, right? And that would have been fine. That was pretty much the plan. But then it doesn't happen. And then with Newcastle, pretty much the same thing, right? Right at the break of the halftime, Ryan Fraser gets a red card, and I pretty much know that this is going to be a tough week because Newcastle would not attack anymore, and I've got 2 Newcastle players, right? So Kieran Clark gets 2 points and Wilson gets 2 points as well. That was not a very pleasant start to the week.
No.
And
my notes say Wilson frauded you.
There we are.
I've already explained to the viewers that my love of Callum Wilson it's not strong.
Okay.
I've had far too much bad experiences. And you also suffered, along with me, who else? I think Sibber, had Mitchell on the bench as well. Benched Mitchell. And I think, who wouldn't bench Mitchell against that?
Exactly. Well, yeah, you know what? I wasn't really hoping on getting Mitchell anyway in the team. So I would anyway have benched him. I do not feel sad about that move. It's okay that he has got 8 points. It's just something you go on with, right? That was just Mitchell was just a security against some player not playing. So
and
that's 8 points. I'll move on.
And fair enough.
Yeah.
But you're still smiling, mate. But it was a tough week, right?
Yeah. I'm okay. You know what? I've been playing this game for 13 years, right? One game week, one bad game week, one bad stream of game weeks, one bad season. It's okay. I'll come back next year. It's okay. Yeah. I'll live with it.
Like I said, we've got far bigger fish to fry. Again, another fish. Sorry. There's going to be lots of coming out this week.
There's something scandalous in Tom's team. Sean, you are an Arsenal fan and you're on double Spurs defense. I think you got hit by karma, my friend.
Yeah, that's there as well. Yeah, yeah, that's there as well.
Okay, Sean, moving on.
Yes.
Again, don't panic. So you've got, that was like you say, you've got 9. Have you got 9 double game weeks? I think I counted.
It was 11 to start with, but then
Yes.
Dyer's and Bamford's games got cancelled, so
Yeah.
it's 9 now.
So again, you were set up, and you've been kicked in the privates by our delightful FPL gods.
Yep, there we are, or COVID rather, whichever way you look at it. Yeah,
one or the other. Yeah, and I suppose we've got to be thankful that football's going ahead.
That's true.
I've said it for long enough. I think it wouldn't be, but as long as if they keep playing, at least we've got something to keep our cold dark nights in the UK. A little bit of enjoyment. So I suppose it's good in some senses.
Agreed.
Making notes earlier, you've got 1 free transfer which you're considering an osmosis move. Would you mind explaining what you mean by an osmosis move? I know what osmosis is because I did biology.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned that to me. Yeah. So I've been calling it the osmosis move for a pretty long time. So osmosis, the scientific term osmosis, is basically the movement of a solvent, right, of any liquid across a semi-permeable membrane. So say, for example, a membrane through which...
Watch all the viewers just drop off now, right? That's it. Get out of here.
Right.
We've lost 2 in 2 seconds now.
Yeah, you can take notes. That's okay. So, but anyway, an osmosis move is basically a move that happens pretty much by itself. You don't have to do too much about it, and that's the 1 free transfer. So I'm happy to call it the osmosis move, and that's, the single osmosis move has served me well throughout the seasons. Rather than I don't take hits. I don't take too many hits. I don't. Sometimes I even let go of my extra. The extra transfer that I have.
Burning transfers. Wow.
Yeah. Burning transfers.
I did that in the week before I free hitted because I was thinking I was going to take two transfers and not free hit. So I burned the transfer as well.
Right. There we are.
So look, but mine wasn't osmosis. Mine was called kicking the can down the road itis.
Right. There we are. That's a nice one.
And I've been doing that a lot just recently, literally kicking the can down the road. I'll make my mind up next week. It's like, I'll read that email tomorrow.
I do that too. I think we all do. Yeah. A little bit of procrastination is good for the system.
Absolutely. Your captain's on Bruno.
No, I didn't. I captained on De Bruyne.
Oh, it's on Bruno at the moment this week.
Oh, at the moment? No, I will probably captain Salah at the end of it.
Right, okay. Yeah. I was going to say, because I was going to question the 4 yellow cards.
Right. No. I wouldn't.
Very important point. 4 yellow cards. If Bruno picks up a petulant yellow against Liverpool, he's out for the next game, isn't he?
Your double game week quickly becomes a single one. Yes.
It does. Yeah, so I think I had to have a quiet word with a cat about that one earlier. Well,
yeah,
between me and you, he likes Bruno. I don't know why, but no. And you've got double Liverpool defence like me. Surely it's time, is it? Is it time for the AA, or is this? Well, I know it broke just the other day that he's had COVID a long time ago. I mean, he lost the ball something like 38 times. Was it?
Yes, that was true. Yeah, but you know what? I was watching the match, and I do not trust my eye test, as I keep on saying. I have not played the professional game. I have not played the professional game. I'm not a serious coach. If I trust Gabe's eye test more than mine, but I saw the match, and it seriously felt that De Bruyne, TAA was trying a lot of adventurous stuff, which pretty much he has to because he's the chief creator for Liverpool, right? So if you are the person who's actually trying the adventurous stuff, some of the stuff will not come off. It's okay, right? That wouldn't necessarily be the reason why he will be subbed, or we can say that he's not in form or something like that. He's trying out different things, and somebody from Liverpool has to, because Liverpool's attackers are not really in the peak of form, right? So I'm okay with that. And you know what? Last season was one of my second best season of all time. So around this time, I did exactly the same thing. I changed over to 2 Liverpool defenders, pretty much TAA and Robertson, and that helped me move up the ranks pretty quickly. Because they remember around this time last season, they had around 10 clean sheets in 11 or something like that. And these guys were, TAA was getting like what? He had an 18-point game week or something like that. So,
just around the time I tripled Captain Marley from memory.
Oh, okay. Let's not talk about that.
No, but no, I agree with you. And I mean, they don't become bad players overnight, but they are expensive. So they've got to, I'm going to keep them as well, because I would like to bring a Manchester City defender in, because, again, Gabe's completely sold me on Manchester City defence. But that said, I can't. I've just got too many other fires I've got to put out. So I will be going with double Liverpool and hoping to have there's some attacking returns in one or both of the games, and hopefully against Burnley, which I'm just waiting for Chris Wood to score, as I was saying to Joe earlier. But
that might take a bit of time. Yeah, that might take a bit of waiting. Yeah. But I'll tell you what I'm thinking of. I'm actually considering 5 in defense, and moving out from Loughton to Stones. So I'm actually considering double Liverpool, double City, and Dyer. So, and moving out from basically getting rid of Adams, getting in Stones, and probably getting in a 5th midfielder who can contribute. So somebody other than Anguissa. Not right now, but that is eventually. Yeah, Soucek. Yeah. Soucek is a very good call.
We're going to come on to Thomas Soucek, because Thomas Soucek is part of one of the main events of this week. So, right, we need to crack on, because we've got still some very interesting stuff to go. But that's fantastic, guys. So, so what I wanted to do now is I just wanted to put this is what we'll be showing regularly now, and I hope you can see that. But we'll be showing the fixture difficulties, which, as I explained to many people over Twitter, it works on, this is attack against defence. So read across and then read up for your opponent. And obviously you can see Manchester City, Manchester United, Aston Villa, Spurs to a certain extent are nice and green. And that suggests that, generally speaking, they've got good matchups against most teams. So that's shots in box, XG, big chances created against the opposite for the defence. So, it's quite clear to me that there are 3 or 4 very, very tasty attacking options at this moment in time. And clearly some which are really not. Just look for the Reds. And interestingly, you see, Southampton, really poor at the moment attacking-wise. Really gone off a bit of a cliff. Oddly enough, West Ham, no great shakes. Oddly, interestingly, they've gone down a little bit. I still think there's some good fixtures and there's some good matchups this week. But that said, they've gone off a little bit. Everton as well. So some of the teams who we've been relying on at the early part of the season are really not there anymore. I'll quickly move through these because, of course, people can pause this part and study it. And I think just to catch a bit of time up, I'll move through. And then we go to defence. And again, you'll see Manchester City stand out now. This is based on the last 6. If you go along much further back, Manchester City do weaken somewhat. But so this is based on the last 6 game weeks. And then you see Aston Villa looking quite good. So you can see why Spurs, you can see why you thought about Arsenal. They've had some good they're performing fairly well. Equally, look at Leeds, look at West Brom. Leeds and West Brom. Target Leeds, target West Brom, in my view. It's very, very straightforward who we should be looking at targeting, I think, these days. Crystal Palace, I mean, there's no wonder people were looking at going after Crystal Palace last week. Yes, it was all against, they had a complete capitulation against Liverpool in these numbers. But they've still been pretty poor. And if we then move this to the fixtures and we actually look at the fixtures which are coming up, and again, I've circled these, and you can see if you look at, for example, you've got the affiliate Man United and Liverpool and Man City. So you look at Spurs. They don't have a double, but you can see what they do is they springboard out the other side of the double with good fixtures. So for that side of it, again, the way I look at it is I have no argument about holding a Spurs asset is the way I'm looking at it. I know what people are saying about their numbers have come down a bit, but when these guys, I said on expectations the other day that these guys are Son and Kane are slowly but surely making their way to being the number one partnership in the history of the Premier League. I think they're about 5. I think they've got 31 now. I think they need 36 goals where they've been involved, a joint involvement to top it. So from that side of things, I think, again, we'll leave this information and people can pause it and have a look. But some very interesting ways of trying to work out who you're going to bring in. Have you got any comments on this, Gabe, first?
Yeah, weeks ago I was looking back, and I'm not a Mourinho fan. I don't like the way he plays. I don't like owning Spurs assets in general, but I can't deny the value that Son provides, right? But I would always, my plan was always to sell Son for Rashford after Sheffield United. Then I'm looking, so I'm comparing the United fixtures there to the Spurs fixtures. United seem to have a little bit better fixtures, but then again, I don't know, dude. Is that sideways? Is that too sideways? Are there other things to take care of? So now I'm kind of rethinking that, but I'm kind of looking at comparing those two players, like weighing Rashford versus Son in midfield. I don't know how you guys feel about those two.
Well, I think the other thing you could say immediately about Rashford and Son is you might well be moving back to Son by about game week 23. So, if you look at it like that, is it just worth just holding and going with one? Because, that's 2 transfers, right? Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, if you look at Manchester United, they've got they're quite green with respect to, they've got 4.2, 3.3, 2.2, 2.0, 3.3, 3.7, sorry. They've got some good fixtures coming up for sure. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be objectionable with a double up. I was planning on doing the same thing, but of course now I've got Calvert-Lewin's fires and things like that to put out. So it would involve a hit if I was to do it. I might still do it just to try and shake it up. And you hear I'm always cheating and things like that. So make fantasy fun again. I think there is an element to that. And to be quite honest, if I own Son, because he's so highly owned, unless I captain him, I'll lose rank anyway. So
I guess it depends where you're ranked as well. If you have a high rank, maybe Son is the smarter pick. If we see them as relatively equal, maybe Son is a higher pick because
he's a shield pick, really, isn't he? You're going to lose, but you're not going to lose that much. Is the way I look at it. But we can always flick back to this screen when we're just going on and talking about other things. But I think generally speaking, Shoma, any comments on the fixtures coming up which you would add?
Not really. I really like what you do. So I'm not a content. I do not create my own stats, right? So I often have referred to the stats that you create, and I have often left comments saying, "Great job, man! This is really useful," and things like that. So this just goes on to say, the way I play is, it's a very set standard way of playing where I have 3 big. At this point of time, I've kind of decided on 3 big value players, and then playing around at the margins, right? With the how should I say, the 7 millions and the 6 millions. So this is actually very useful for me because I'm taking those small, those 4.5 million defenders at times and just holding them for 6 game weeks and then moving them off. And this is actually absolutely perfect for me. And this just goes on to say that the plan that I have, that of probably having 2 City defenders and 2 Liverpool defenders, Liverpool defenders are not defenders, right? They're midfielders who are who are defenders, right?
Correct. Look at Liverpool's attacking
Right.
for matchups for TAA and for Robertson. Don't look at the defensive things because you won't pick them. You quite frankly, you'll sell them instantly.
Exactly.
Liverpool defensively are no great shakes, and we still don't even know whether Matip's back or not, do we? There's a chance he might be, but again, it's almost like you're picking them as a 7 million midfielder, aren't you?
Midfielder, yeah. 7 million midfielder who gets 1 extra point for a goal. Yeah, that's about
absolutely.
that.
No, absolutely.
One thing I want to turn people's eyes to this FDR and why I think it's so spectacular is it gives you so much information. So in each cell, it's not just a color, but it's a gradient of a color, and it's easy to read because the 0 is neutral, and that's why it goes to white. So the further down you go, to the darker red it gets. So it's just very intuitive. And Mariner, we've spoken before about the disappointing FDRs out there. Certainly the official FPL FDR is basically useless. And then the fact that you have it split up into attack and defense. It's just very intuitive and gives you a ton of information just with a quick glance. So this is something I check every single week.
Yeah, I mean,
so do I. Yeah.
The thing at the moment, of course, is that it doesn't take into account home or away, because obviously with no crowds being in the stadiums, then really it's a bit meaningless. And in fact, it's probably a bit easier to win away from home at the moment than it is to win at home. Looking at the statistics,
especially about Arsenal, yes, absolutely.
Well, I mean, look, as a Grimsby fan, we don't win at home or away, so it doesn't make any sense. So just thank your lucky stars who follow Arsenal, mate. But no, so that's obviously this information's all there, and this is the sort of stuff which we will be looking at weekly. Every single week, Gabe and I will look at. Hopefully, Gabe will join me as many times as he can, given the time difference. We'll be looking at this sort of stuff most weeks, and sometimes we might look at a bit more in detail at attack, and then we'll look at defence. We might look at some other match, or we might dig something out on shots. Or then again, we'll talk about headers in a minute because we're getting on to Soucek Watch, which is just about to land on the screen. So that's what we're going to do. So hopefully that whets people's appetite a little bit for what we're going to see as of next week. So you're right. So Soucek Watch for potato salad lovers everywhere. This is something me. I just have to start. I get bored. I've not left this damn island for a year. I've nothing better to do than think of little things like this. I've highlighted just a few little boxes here, but this is the headed matchup. So this is the one that I think, Gabe, this is your special. You love this one, don't you?
I love a headed matchup.
Although the thing is, we've been saying we call it Soucek Watch, but the irony, he hasn't scored a header, has he? Or has he scored one?
We'll get to that. He's just this towering guy that's amazing with his feet. He scores mostly with his feet. But
what he did do at this headed matchup, the first time I did this headed matchup with expectations, I put it on the screen and I said, Zuma's going to score this week, and I bet Craig a beer. And he did. So that's why I've highlighted Chelsea. Fulham. He's got a good match. They have a good matchup. So anyone who's crossing the ball for Chelsea, you've got your Chilwells of this. I think James is injured, isn't he? Ziyech is back. So I think Ziyech is back. There's good opportunity, I think, for some headed chances against Fulham.
Help me understand this a little bit more. Does this mean that Aston Villa is actually that you can trust Aston Villa for headed opportunities for a fair clip of the game weeks to follow? And Arsenal, for example, can be vulnerable to headed opportunities for a little bit, right?
Well, if you looked at, for example, who are Arsenal playing this week?
Arsenal is just give me 1 minute.
Newcastle.
Arsenal's playing Newcastle, correct? Yes, Arsenal's playing Newcastle.
Yeah, so Newcastle are attacking it. Yeah, so Arsenal are vulnerable.
Yes.
And interestingly enough, there was a couple of very, very good headed chances last night, wasn't there?
Yeah, they are.
Benteke nearly scored.
Yeah, Chris Benteke, yeah. So, Kieran Clark becomes an interesting pick. So, possibly, if I could keep Kieran Clark, I would have. Okay.
Yeah, possibly.
See, that explains. Well,
I mean, look, what I would say is Newcastle aren't very good, are they?
Yeah, well, neither are Arsenal.
It's hard to say, but look, that's the general idea. So, look, if we now talk about Soucek, Burnley's not quite so good, but West Brom really is.
Yes.
Okay, West Brom is really good.
Really
so,
good, yes.
And I think this is where we're starting to think is, a player like Soucek, he's 5 and a bit million now. He's about 15% owned now. Can you believe it? I think I owned him when he was 1.2% or something like that. I had him right from the start of the season, and yeah, I've not got rid of him yet. So no, I love him, and he just sat on my bench until the fixtures got good because I just thought this guy is just perfect, and it's turned out that he has been. But what I wanted to do is, because this is Soucek Watch, it's the first show. Let's have a look at Thomas Soucek. So, Gabe, we've done this, and obviously credit to Fantasy Football Scout for this. But do you want to just quickly give the viewers a bit of a run through on Soucek?
Yeah, so I've noticed a little bit of a change in Soucek just watching West Ham play. I've had several West Ham players for quite some time, so I've found myself watching them, and I'm noticing that Soucek is picking the ball up. He's available as an option more in midfield, so he's actually running through midfield with the ball if you watch the games. And then if you watch, I think it was a couple game weeks ago when he scored that winning goal where Aaron Cresswell sent that ball in, he came in the far post. That was a run. He ran right up through midfield to make that run, and then kind of veered towards the far post. And I thought, is his role changing? And Mariner, you mentioned really something really astute in our chat, and you mentioned the switch to the 4-3-3, right, when Masuaku got injured. And I think that was a great observation, because I think that may be partly of what's responsible for Soucek's role change here. When you're playing a 4-3-3, you do have more defensive cover. So there's between Soucek and Rice. I think Rice tends to sit a little bit more. So Soucek's been pushing into the space at the 10 spot. The other thing that allows him to push into that spot is that West Ham have always struggled for a creative attacking mid, a center attacking mid. Lanzini has always flattered to deceive. He was a great prospect when he was bought, but since he's been at West Ham, he's been a little bit inconsistent. And when they've been playing the 4-3-3, Benrahma has been in there a few times. Now, he doesn't play all the time, but when Benrahma is in there, Benrahma is very much an improvisational player, right? So wherever there's space or wherever there's a ball, he kind of gravitates towards the goal. So he'll push up onto that front line. And when he does that, it creates a space in that right in behind the attacking line. And I think Thomas Soucek is really taking advantage of that space. I just want to, we have the kind of the flipped circles here, how he went from super defensive mid to a little bit more of attacking mid. And I want to just draw your attention to that spot, the cluster right in the middle there that's developing. I think that cluster is really what is making Soucek a lot more promising. He's available. So this is the passes received heat map. So you'll see he's receiving the ball on the other side of the center circle.
Yeah,
and that change, I think, has kind of elevated Soucek as more than just a tall guy with a good head on his shoulders. I think that change has really shown his vision, his ability with the ball. He's actually quite a technical player if you watch him. So I think he has some upside here if this continues. Now, definitely watch West Ham's formation, see if it reverts back, if they play 3 at the back in certain games. I haven't gone that granularly into it, but if they continue with the 4-3-3, I really like Soucek.
I mean, I'm just out trolling through Twitter, and I messaged Big Man and I said, "Oh, can I just use one of your tweets?" And he says, "Yeah, of course." And he said incredibly 38% of Soucek's penalty area touches all season have come in the last 4 game weeks. So that just basically just stacks up with what you're saying completely.
There it is.
You know, a stat that I'd really want to see, I'm sure you wouldn't have it right now, but something really interesting would be Soucek's past 4 game weeks, where he's doing this kind of incredible penalty box headed approach, headed chances, etc., with Bukayo Saka, whose Arsenal has slowly picked up form, so Saka is playing regularly, and they are around the same price point. So if anybody's in my book, you should have both. If you are considering, you can have both. As in, too much of a good thing is never a bad thing. So in my book, but it's, say for example, if you only have one slot, it will be very interesting to look at Soucek versus Saka. It will be quite an interesting take to have.
Maybe that's our first challenge for next week, Gabe. Maybe we should have a dig at that 5 million midfield slot and just look at Gundo and
Gundo,
Saka, and
Rafinha maybe, yeah.
And maybe Rafinha. I mean, the point is that I've been saying it for a while. You could nearly pick 2 of these 5 million players if you could find a way to rotate them. If there was an option to find a nice rotation, or even play them both sometimes.
Yeah, play them both full time. Why not? Yeah,
because I'm some good value, and I think the 6 million striker area is a bit of a wasteland at the moment. Actually,
yeah,
nothing really. I know we're going to talk about Antonio in a minute, but my view is there's nothing which really gets my juices flowing. There's nothing there which really gets me going.
Yeah.
Not yet. So, but that's interesting. Again, Surya from All About FPL, again, another one of my friends from Expectations, had tweeted, that Soucek's registered the most headed attempts among midfielders this season. West Brom have conceded the second most. So, again, I think this just,
that's an interesting matchup.
It clearly thing. And immediately then there was a chorus of, are we going to captain him then? Would you captain him, Gabe? Would you? Come on.
I would not. I would. I'd love the idea. I think he is a viable captain shout, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the end, he's Thomas Soucek. He's not Mohamed Salah. He's not Kevin De Bruyne.
No,
but that said, I think he's in the conversation just to make fantasy fun.
And how fun is it to have an asset at 5 million who you're watching and you're seeing in the box all the time, and the touches that he gets, he's never, he's always in and around that.
Mm-hmm.
When there's a chance, he's always in and around it. So that's why I agree with you. He's just a great asset, and I'm certainly playing him this week, and I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't score double figures over the game week.
If you have Soucek, you have to play him this week. Otherwise, don't have him. Otherwise, why have him? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Otherwise, get Anguissa. Yeah. Otherwise, get Anguissa, save some money, get on. Right.
No.
If you have Soucek, play him. Yeah.
Spot on. Shom's spoken, everybody. and moving on, Gabe, again with you, and then Shom, if you want to fire in as well on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, my son. Are we happy playing Son over KDB? First of all, the reason I wanted to ask it, obviously, because we're not sure KDB is going to play 2 games. There's a chance that he won't. A lot of people might be moving, like me, might be moving Son to KDB. I'm not convinced. And I think Gabe's now going to convince me even less. So over to you, Gabe. Give the viewers your view on the matchup between Son and Sheffield United.
So I stated earlier, I'm not a fan of Mourinho assets and certainly Spurs assets. But I targeted Son. I I could have gone for Rashford, who has a double, but I targeted Son for this game week quite specifically because if you look on the left side, Basham is actually the right center back. Look at his average position. You put this average position for any other center back in the league, and that manager's getting fired. So it's almost irresponsible. It's irresponsible to play your center back so high. Then we look at Baldock on the right, and I believe he was injured last game. But this is a systemic thing. This is not dependent on the player. What I found really weird, just as a side note here, is if we look at game week 14, Basham, the center back, had a more advanced average position than Baldock did, who's the right wing back. Again, and I'm kind of like slamming Wilder on this episode. I didn't know that I would be criticizing him so much here, but I mean, to be playing Wilder, playing Brewster the way he's playing them, and to be playing this back line in such an irresponsible way, such that in a game week your right wing back was playing in a deeper position than your right center back. I think it's highlighting a lot of just warts on Wilder here. And if you I want everyone to just like kind of don't close your eyes, but in your mind's eye, put Son in his position there on that left wing. And look at the space he's going to have to run into.
I just see goals.
Yeah. Can I put in a little bit of an alternative viewpoint, over here?
Yes.
So last season, when Sheffield United was playing with their, overlapping centre backs, that formation, what they used to have was there were Basham and there was Stevens, right? Stevens on the left, Basham on the right, moving up. And this defensive formation had Egan over here, O'Connell, and Basham, right? Baldock. Basham, right? So what used to happen was that they used to create some kind of it was technically two defensive, two center backs, and one of them moving up and the other two just coming in to block their path, right? So now what happens is O'Connell is injured for the season. So they have Robinson or that Chelsea boy, what's his name? The Chelsea kid. He's really good, but he's quite green as well. Ampadu, right? So they have come in instead of O'Connell. Now they are not as good as O'Connell. So what is happening is that there is always some kind of a discrepancy getting created. So even though probably Basham and Baldock are playing the same thing that they were playing last season, it's just because there isn't O'Connell and Egan was injured for a very long time. That defensive formation is kind of unstable, and that's what the other teams are getting out of. So for a very long time, Stevens used to play defensive, play as one of the center backs, but it isn't the same thing as a team that has been created, that has been molded for literally 4 or 5 years. And that's your cat, isn't it?
That's the cat. Decided to turn up.
Right. So while the fundamentals are all right at this moment, what you are saying in terms of how Son can really create havoc, the reason probably I wouldn't bash Wilder so much because, he's stuck with injuries as well. Yeah,
I mean, look, my view here is it looks really tasty, and I can see exactly what you're thinking, Gabe. I mean, just to move it forward, Gabe, a bit, the stats again from thanks to Fantasy Football Scout. Whoops, I've gone past it. Sorry, here we go. Is there, and I think you're talking here about chances chances conceded by teams, specifically Sheffield United.
Yeah, so there's a chances conceded by Sheffield United. Obviously, the right side, they concede way more chances on the right side than they do the left, and that's because of and I think Sean was mentioning it with those injuries on the left. They're kind of attacking more from the right, and when they push more from the right, then that's why that hole opens up for Son. But what Sean was saying here is since they do not have that same attacking threat from the left, they aren't as complete a team, right? So if they just attack from one side, they're much easier to defend. They're much more predictable.
Yeah.
But given that situation, and so you're right. I think maybe let's not be too harsh on Wilder, but I don't know. It feels better to be harsh on him for some reason.
Okay, so look, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Yes or no? Sell Son for KDB?
No.
Sean?
I would, but I would say yes, but maybe if you have him, hold him. For this week, yes.
You keep him. You
Yeah,
wouldn't.
yeah,
So you can. So you're saying. So, for example, somebody like me, I would go into this double game week with 2 Manchester City home fixtures and not own KDB and keep Son.
Wow. Okay.
Challenge, right? It's a tough one. I mean, I'm not saying. Don't get me wrong. I'm playing devil's advocate here, boys, as you'd expect me to. I can see exactly what you're thinking. I really can see it. It just scares me to death if he plays both games, because on any one game, this guy KDB can go mad, right? I know he hasn't. He's shown flashes of perhaps what he can do, and maybe if he'd have had that penalty, Sean, maybe we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Right. Very true. Look, this is the way I think about this question. What would I expect Son to do? I would expect Son to score a goal.
Yeah.
And get around 10 to 11 points. KDB can get more than 10 to 11 points in one game week. Assume he plays one game week and plays 30 minutes of the other and gets a penalty.
Yeah.
He will hit his penalties, right?
I think he probably will play both games, but I think he'll probably play 20 to 30 in one and the full game in the other. That would be that'd be what I would be thinking about KDB. Yeah. And hence I'm still perhaps just siding with going with KDB. Just.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is this has got nothing to do with Son being a good pick. Son is a good pick for this week. However, I believe not going with this is just FPL manager sense, right?
No, I agree.
The downside of not having KDB is probably a risk not worth taking. That's all.
No, I agree.
Son is a great pick. Full stop.
Yeah. I think comparing Son and KDB, it's actually quite a close comparison, and this is why in the chat we were discussing. I would say sell Bruno, as long as you don't have a lot of money invested in where you'll lose that. Sell Bruno with the 4 yellow cards up against Liverpool first. You can see, we talked about this. If Thiago seems to be fit, he's a cunning player, great passing, and can draw late tackles. So I can see Thiago just pulling a yellow card from Bruno just to know that the next game, Manchester United, who's clipping at Liverpool's heels, they're fighting for that first spot. If they can get Bruno out of United's next game, that could give them some breathing room. So I think just tactically, it's a good decision to try to get Bruno to get a yellow card so he misses a game. Otherwise, they get beset and he won't miss the game. I would expect my players to make Bruno get a yellow card and miss that game against Fulham.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. The only thing is, though, he's then be rested against when he comes up against Sheffield United the week after.
And then you sell it, then you bring him back. Then you
do a little bit of jump up.
Are you late riser in disguise? That's the problem. Mr. Upside Chaser across there. Yeah. Right, okay, so I think we're sort of like a bit on the fence here, guys, aren't we? We're not 100% sure. But, my goodness, I needed a sound effect for the dropping Bruno, selling Bruno, but I was like looking around saying, what can I do? What can I
a glass break.
Sound effect now, as the world.
You should have told me. I could have made some sound over here. You should have just told me.
Scream or something like that. Or a big meow of the cat is really sat in. How he's been. But no, it's interesting what you say. Is that? It's not out of this world. I think the problem we've got is if you've owned Bruno for a while, you've obviously got some value built up in him. Yeah. Then you've got to sell him and get him back because you're going to bring him back in.
Yeah,
you're not going to leave him out for any length of time. You're going to bring him back in. But yeah, wow. Time's getting on a bit. But Gabe, you're okay for a few more minutes.
I'm okay.
All right, cool. We'll just try and quickly rattle through this last few bits then, because the next bit is the bit that I always enjoy, and it's the Little Prince pick, Gabe. So just explain to people what the Little Prince pick is.
So the Little Prince pick of the week is this idea I had where it's not, I mean, it is a differential, but it has to be a cheap differential. It's about catching a shooting star with a net, right? So all you have is a net, just a very rudimentary equipment, and you're gonna fly with it. So I look for just cheap picks that have really some upside and some potential from a tactical point of view here. And the cheap pick, now it is a differential because I probably won't choose a pick that's very highly owned. I try to keep it under 5%, and just every option would be a budget option, save for I think one time I went with Richarlison, but he was a special one for me this season. I didn't
we can forgive you choosing a Richarlison every time, Gabe.
Yeah, all right.
I don't know how I would call him a Little Prince. I'd probably think of another word.
You probably put an R after the pick, huh? Pick of the week.
So come on then, mate. Who is it?
Well, who
is it this week? Go for it.
Well, let's do the big reveal there.
I haven't got a picture of him. You just have to tell me.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I'll keep talking there for just a second. I thought I had something up here for him.
Have you got something? Right, all right. I can share your screen. If you share your screen, I'll put your screen up just for a split second.
Okay, go for it. The tension is palpable.
We need some sound effects here.
The tension is palpable. You can cut the tension with a knife.
The cat's excited.
Well, I mean, the little pick is our friend. Hold on, sorry. I'm still trying to find it. I wish I had something. I'm really sorry.
Don't worry. Just tell everybody you're all right. We can do it next. We'll get it right next time. Right.
Well, the little prince pick of the week, Mikel Antonio. He played almost 90 minutes in the cup game on a wet, soggy field. You don't put somebody that's like touch and go with injury into that situation, right? He was, and I was my thought was that he was, you can't just take a player that suffers hamstring injuries are very tricky because the hamstring is actually what goes behind the leg and grabs the knee, so it's responsible for the knee, the structural integrity of the knee. So you can't rush a player with that injury back. My idea here is we saw the matchups in Chris's FDR. We saw the headed matchups. We were talking about Soucek, but those headed matchups apply for Antonio as well. Coming back into that front line, Mariner mentioned how West Ham's attack has been on a slow decline in recent weeks. I expect that to jump back up. With not having a kind of a Antonio there at the tip of the spear, it makes sense that it would decline. But I love Antonio this week. I do think I expect him to get between 70 and 80 minutes in both games, probably not 90. The kid, the new signing, might get a few minutes at the end, but just the matchups are great for Antonio. He seems healthy based on the cup appearance, and I believe he's what 2.6% owned and 6.2 million.
Yeah. So
he has all the makings of a Little Prince pick of the week. I've brought him into my bench boost squad this week. So I'm putting it on the line here with Antonio. Hopefully he stays healthy.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable call. I think he's probably going to be coming into my side as well. I might have considered Watkins, given not for a Little Prince, but from the point of view of bringing him in, because with the fixtures that Villa have got, and the fact there's more fixtures to play now as well. So there's going to be double game weeks coming up for them. So you've got to think that Villa assets are pretty good, but the trouble is we don't know about them. So I think Antonio. So Adams, forget it. Wilson, forget it. So I've no one else. I've got to go. I can't go to the other two because I've got previous with them. So I'm going to go for Antonio, and it may well be that I'll hold him for the rest of the season if he stays fit.
Yeah,
I like Antonio as a pick.
He is that
Antonio as a pick too.
player.
Yeah, I don't have the money, but if I would have got Antonio for Adams as well. I don't have the money.
Yeah, maybe we'll get 4 goals again, like Siva says. 4 goals. Antonio.
I had got Antonio in exactly for that week last time. And you know what? The chips just fell. Last year the chips just fell. Right?
Siva's still here. I'll bring it back in. Hello, Siva.
Hey,
Hey, Shiva's there. Hey, Shiva. Yeah, I haven't met him. Hey.
Hanging around in the distance there. Siva, just very quickly, what's your view on Antonio for a differential this week?
You have to get him in, not just because of the fixtures, but also because there's no one else to pick. You don't want Watkins, you don't want Wood. Werner, yeah, it's quite expensive what you're getting. Vardy, kind of the same thing. Antonio's a no-brainer this week. It's either Antonio or Bamford, and since Bamford doesn't have the double, Antonio for me all day long, I think.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. Okay, so that's the Little Prince pick. So we'll keep moving. We might, if we get time, just at the very end, I'll just ask Sean for your pick. But let's just speed on for now.
Yeah.
And right, okay. So we're now at the big reveal for the cat pick. So it's not like a toothpick, a cat pick. So we put a poll out. Who's the captain for double game week 19? KDB 55%, Salah 25%. Bruno 11.8, and I thought, you know what? Because Son and Kane, it's a very good fixture. I thought I'll throw it in. But some people went for it, but realistically, it's between 2. And I would have normally sometimes give him 3 options to go and try and find his 3, but this time I only gave him 2, and the reason is because I just think the Bruno yellow card is an accident waiting to happen as a captaincy this weekend. And I'm going to show you the captain metric in a minute, and you're going to see why I do that. It's certainly the metric. It's completely confused. It's confused the metric out of all belief. But anyway, so this is the cat pick for the week. So hopefully this will work. Left again. Still not sure, right? Well, there we go. You couldn't make this shit up, could you? You really couldn't make this shit up.
Video.
Jolene, I mean, to be fair to Mrs. Mariner, she's done a great job. I said, how long does it take you to edit this? Oh, about 30 minutes. But no, it's quite nice. I thought, no, we're going to keep doing this because it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of light-hearted relief. And to be honest, you know what? There's so many people message me and going, who's Oliver picked this week? And the next thing, I think it's Simeon who always says, well, the only time I agree with Oliver is when the person he picks is not top of the metric, and he's second. So Simeon looks like he's going to go for KDB, maybe, if he dare. I'm not sure I dare. I'm not sure I'm going to own him. But, this is where this fixture difficulty and the way the metric works really struggles. It doesn't see, stats are stats, as I said right at the outset of the show. It's just a number. It tells you what it is. Then you've got to put everything else together with that to come up with the decision. You can see that Fernandez, 17 games, 19 returns, 11 times out of, he's got 1 return. 6 times he's got more than so 2 or more returns. It's only blanked twice. Ridiculous. His fixture difficulty, Fernandez, is okay. The matchup for Liverpool is favourable because Liverpool defence is not that good.
Hmm.
You know, so the matchup's okay, and of course the Fulham matchup is probably harder defensively than Liverpool. This is as strange as it seems, but you know he's got a decent fixture difficulty. You know, good green there, look, and that's a sign. And not much better. You know, Man City's not much better, right? So it's clearly between probably that. This is where I get really confused. Not so much confused, but Liverpool have gone off a cliff with respect to numbers. Off a cliff. And, you know, this is where you've then got to weigh up, do I agree with this long term, or are Liverpool just going to come back after a 10-day rest and go, do you know what? We mean business here. I've got a funny feeling they might. But what I would say is that the Salah captaincy option, and I know a lot of people are thinking of captaining Salah. Burnley, as we said last week, are not necessarily a pushover. That said, it's at Liverpool. And Burnley have a habit of conceding a lot of goals away to top sides. Mm-hmm. So that's what the metric says. I will not be captaining Bruno. So I will be going against the metric, and it will either be De Bruyne or Salah for me. What about you, Sean? Who would you go for?
I'm going for Salah.
Right. Okay. Siva?
I think I'll go for De Bruyne. I know it's risky, right? Fixtures only 2 days apart. But Palace at home, Villa at home, a Villa side that may not have everybody back. Like you say, United and Burnley aren't the easiest fixtures for Salah. And I think we're going with Salah more because we're hoping Anfield, maybe they'll show some form. We don't really have anything else to go on beyond that. I think I may do it for KDB.
No, I mean, I've just seen some comment, you know, Astralicious, Sterling at number 3 is a huge trap. Would we be saying that if it's, man, I suppose it had only been a penalty? But he only came on as a sub. So is he going to start this next? Is he going to start the next 2? And home fixtures, Sterling. At some stage, Sterling has to stop doing what he's. Should we say not stop? Has to start performing the way that we know Sterling can perform. You know, but no, I think you've probably got. Clearly, it loves Fernandes, and it loves him for the reason he's just so consistent. But I think the yellow card. If he didn't have 4 yellows, I'd probably be going with Bruno. That would be my almost certain. Now, if you're brave enough to think he's going to get a penalty against Liverpool, which you could easily do, because Gabe, I give you that stat. What's the name of the referee? He's given tons of penalties to Manchester United, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Historically. Was it Paul Tierney? Was it Paul Tierney? He's given tons of penalties to them. And none to Liverpool, by the way. That's the other problem. So from that side, you know, dare we go that way? I think I'd be hiding behind the settee, waiting for a yellow card, the inevitable yellow card, and inevitably it then will come out. Gabe, what's your view?
So I think for me, the way I'm looking at, I've been bitten in the past in double game weeks and captaining and triple captaining. So I've kind of this season I want safety with my double game week captain, and certainly those that are on triple captain, rather than chasing upside. I would say, look, get somebody that's guaranteed to return, not guaranteed as much as possible, obviously, in one game. And I think Salah is just the safest player. No yellow cards are not an issue. He's fit. Liverpool have had some rest. 2 games at home, where historically Salah performs best. I think KDB is a great shout. If their games, if that last 10 minutes of the previous game, if he didn't have that, I'd consider him more. He just went so hard, and he's been going hard kind of at those last 10 minutes. He's getting kind of frustrated and trying to push that ball forward into the box. So I do think he could be a little bit tired, but even if he is rested in one game and gets 30 and plays 90 in the other game, I think KDB, I think it's very close between the two. But for me, Salah feels safer, so I'm going to go with Salah despite the fact that he's not perhaps in the best form at the moment.
So
I'm
sitting on the fence then. So I'm sitting on the fence, getting splinters as usual, and it'll go down to the wire for me. So we've got 2 Salas and a KDB.
I'll give you one other data point for why I'm considering KDB at this moment, Salah at this moment over KDB. You get the information on the game week starting on Saturday the 16th, right? And the Man City game week that you'll actually have will be on the, correct me if I'm wrong, it would be on the 18th, right? The Man City Aston Villa game week will be on the 20th, correct? So that's good 4 days. And Aston Villa is decimated with COVID, right? Do we want to take the risk of that game week getting cancelled or postponed? It is not completely out of the picture.
Yeah. No, it's not, because the Everton game's off, isn't it? So, if they're not,
if they're not playing on Saturday, why would they play on Wednesday?
No, but that's why, as I say, I think what we've got to do, and I know the guys have been watching there, and there's been a few comments flying around. I think Siver, you've posted a few things in the sort of like side chat to this of various press conferences, but I don't think there's too much of any real consequence when it comes to captaincy in there at the moment. But we've got to keep watching these things, and I think it will go right down to the wire, to the deadline, tomorrow for me. And I won't make any moves probably until half an hour before the deadline either. I'll literally wait last minute. My recommendation to people is to do the same as far as possible.
The deadline is 3 a.m.
If you're going to get priced out, and I've not looked at the price changes, but quite frankly, I mean, it looks like I'm going to go DCL to Antonio, which means I'm going to create cash anyway, so I'm okay. So I can wait till the last minute.
Yeah.
Can I recommend?
I never make the deadline.
Sorry, go ahead.
Deadline is 3 a.m. for me, so.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I stayed at the West Coast for a pretty long time. I totally remember that. That was a bit of a nightmare. Yeah. But I just like to give you one extra data point, and this was at 2009, 2010. This is good 11 years ago. That was probably that was pretty much my first ever really good season, and I finished I just missed the top 1K that season. And this was the season where I remember game week after game week being cancelled because of bad weather, right? And not the full game week, maybe an Aston Villa match or maybe a Newcastle match or something else getting cancelled over and over. I'm a very safety-first manager. I make my transfer as late as you can in the season. Many people don't do that. So I remember that I was around at top 10K pretty late into the season. This is around the time where I started, getting up the rank pretty quickly. And that was because I was just taking it slow in comparison to others. And, this was the time when fantasy FPL was still getting, the standard ways of how to play FPL was still getting established, right? So I remember that the slow make the late transfer, etc. style bore me a great amount of benefit that season. And this was good 11 years back. The situation was very different, but that helped. And this might help this game week as well. So when you're saying you're waiting right till the end, that is the right way of playing, at least by my opinion.
Yeah. I think just, look, again, this is where I have a habit of deciding to do something, going full at it, and then changing my mind and going in the opposite direction. So the best thing I can do sometimes is do nothing, and rather that can be quite reactionary. So that sometimes you need to just literally almost like tie your hands behind your back, and so you can't get to the keyboard. And so I think that's more than ever. I think at the moment, and I think it only takes. It's still only it's only just sort of 4 o'clock in the afternoon in London. So there's still plenty of time for things to happen between now and the deadline. So that's that. So right, just very quickly, there's a few questions flying around, and I thought I'd just go through a few. I think we're probably going to have to call it. I think Galen, we have to go to work.
I have a meeting in a few minutes.
You cannot do that to the poor guy. Come on.
Priorities. Let's get the questions in first before I get to my meeting.
So, okay. So, first of all, a question about COVID. Alan Saint-Maximin has only just started training again, suffering from fatigue. What's our view on COVID, players flagged with COVID now? In the past, it was a 10-day thing. Do we hold? Do we flag and monitor? Or do we get rid? Who would like to take that?
I can take a crack. I can take just a quick data point, and that is regarding Saint-Maximin. Saint-Maximin and Lascelles, they were seriously affected by COVID. That is opposed to somebody just getting COVID and being asymptomatic and then getting okay in 14 days. The situation between those two are massively different, right? COVID attacks the respiratory system.
Yeah.
I'd like to believe that would affect footballers who are using the respiratory system to, pretty much, be there a great deal. So the situation is different. So you take it, situation by situation, player by player, right?
But
so Saint-Maximin and Salah are not the same thing. Yeah.
The trouble is we don't know. Sometimes we don't even know they've got COVID.
Yeah,
they're
that's
just
true.
illness or something like that. But if we do know they've got COVID, then we don't tend to find out whether they're asymptomatic and things like that. And
that's true.
Now more than ever, I think we're getting to the point where it's a 2 game. They're going to miss 2. I think we can pretty much say it's a 10 day, even if they're isolating, it's 10 days. Then perhaps have a treadmill in the gym, in their own gym, in some mansion somewhere in South London or whatever. But
I would add, COVID is as much a circulatory disease that attacks your circulatory system as much as the respiratory system. What happens is that the cell walls, the lining in the cell walls in the lungs deteriorates, and blood starts passing through that. And if you get to that kind of stage of COVID, obviously your breathing is affected and your circulation is affected, so your energy will be affected. So it's different for everybody. If a player gets COVID and he's on my team, I think my reaction will be like, I'm going to get rid of him, because I'm not going to wait to see what kind of COVID, to see how long the effects last. When Salah got COVID, I held him, but I told myself I'm going to hold him for 1 game week. I knew he wasn't going to play, and if he wouldn't play the second one or the third one, then I would get rid of him, because I had money tied up in him. But
I tend to agree with you. I think that's where I am. In fact, I've gone as far as flagging all the players on the database now as to players who have COVID, and I'm actually going to look at them long and hard as to whether their form's dropped off since they've come back, if I'm thinking of bringing someone in, because again, I start with numbers and then look beyond that. And of course, we don't know that Salah's drop off in form was as a result of COVID, do we? But he did drop off. So an interesting perspective. But I wanted to bring that question up, because I think it's something that I think, quite frankly, we're all battling with. Whether it be physically, mentally, everything. And of course, FPL is no different, because we're trying to work out what's going on, and it's bad times, and but it always worries me when players like Saint-Maximin, a physical specimen like him, right? Let's face it, it's like a blooming mountain, isn't he? But I don't know. So anyway, just very quickly then, just a couple of quick questions before we wrap up, because I think time's getting on, and we'll wrap up at 2.5. I was going to wrap up at 2, but we've run through. Just a few questions from Simeon. He came up earlier on. He said, should I swap Wood with Antonio, Watkins, Wilson, or Giroud?
Giroud was benched last match. There's some uncertainty there. There's a lot of talk about Werner, and I think on the FPL Wire they were talking of Werner quite a bit. So the uncertainty with Giroud, I think, kind of knocks him out as an option here. I like that thinking though, especially with you showed the headed matchups. Giroud against those nice headed matchups would be fantastic. but Frank Lampard is not a good tactician, so he's not going to be thinking like that. I think that headed matchup matrix that you have there would help Frank Lampard a lot.
We'll send it to him. We'll send it to him. I'll get his email address and say, look, if you need any help, Frank, just Gabe and I were, me, Sean, Gabe, Siva, we're all here. We can help you out.
Like Mariner will be here every week, Frank, if you want some help.
Every Tuesday, you're gonna have to just stop your training a bit early, Frank, and come and watch us every Tuesday, right?
That's right. You could learn something.
So I'll just have a quick scan through some of the questions. I mean, look, I'm sorry I can't say hi to everybody because there's quite a lot of people being on and off during the time. So I'm just going to say a general thank you very much for everybody's support. Thank you guys as well, and thank you to the guys who were on earlier because, quite frankly, I wanted to give this a bit of a boost and get a flying start, and I think by bringing you guys on, we've certainly done that. So that's lovely, and we've had some good questions, and we've had a bit of banter in the group as well. There's a comment, good job, Mrs. Mariner, for the videos. These are getting more and more advanced every week. It's a shame our FPL team isn't.
Ouch!
Oh, shots fired. I love it. Shots fired on the first episode.
So you'll be sleeping at home tonight, right?
I'll be in the shed. But we haven't got a shed. I'll be on the balcony. But no, she's not doing so well. She started off quite well, but she's not doing so well now. She actually managed to pick Kieran Tierney.
For this week? Oh,
yes. She preheated and brought him in. What a shame. What a shame. Did I sound remotely sad about that?
Not at all.
No, don't go into acting.
You're really chancing your luck, man. You're really chancing your luck.
I'm already sleeping on the sofa tonight. At this point, I can't find anything else to do.
Here's a question. Here's one for you. Mane and Firmino are great differentials. Do you agree?
Yes. So I have Mane, 7.7%. I'm still waiting for that, differential haul, but he's come really close. I mean, he should have scored against Newcastle. He basically almost could have walked it in. Firmino is tough. I don't know what you guys think about Firmino. I feel like he's just not enough of a striker for me to pay that much. He sort of drops back a lot. He's good for the team, but I feel FPL-wise as a forward, 9.3, I'm not really sold.
No. He's a good footballer, but not a good asset, is he?
Yeah, exactly.
If he showed some consistency, if there was some consistency, because there are games where he just flies and you look at him and it's like, yes, what a brilliant differential, and then the next game he's nowhere near the box, right, or nowhere near the ball. So yeah.
Okay.
Not for me.
Here's another question, guys. Same guy actually, by Nehal again. What do you think about getting Kane and Son out to get players in like Salah and Vardy? I don't know I'm not sure he'd be able to. I don't know if he's got the cash to be able to do that. He would need cash, wouldn't he? But,
yeah, that will be a lot of money, right? That will be literally more 2.5 million, right?
Well,
who has 2.5 million in the who has 2.5 million in the bank?
Me.
Oh, you do? Wow. Ouch.
I mean, have some.
It's waiting to go from Son to KDB, right? Oh dear. So anyway, I think my view is if you have the money, Kane and Son out for Salah and Vardy, 2 single weekers against 2 double weekers. Salah's fixtures aren't amazing going forward, but it's Salah. Vardy's fixtures aren't bad. I think they've got Leeds coming up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that, as I said,
Vardy has got
Oh dear! Oh god!
Vardy also has the hip issue, the ongoing hip issue. You need to keep an eye on.
So and I'm not sure on this. Firmino has a better XG than Salah this year. Does he?
Does he?
I mean, I'm supposed to be the stat man.
Exactly.
I've just gone quiet. I'm going to have to check that out later. Crikey. Here's one. going without Liverpool defence and with double City and West Ham, defence, a good move. Gabe?
When without Liverpool, it could be, sure. I mean, you could be on triple City and not have Liverpool or West Ham defense, for example, right? You could have Chilwell, who could be a good option. You could have Zuma, that we've talked about several times. So, I mean, I think, yes, it speaks to that maxim that no player is essential, no approach is essential, is the exact right approach. So, yes, I think it's doable. I think we would need more context to properly answer the question. But yes, it's absolutely doable going without Liverpool or West Ham defense.
Yeah, I think it is as well, and I own two.
So I've looked up Salah and Firmino's XG. And Salah's XG is higher.
Is it? Oh, right. Sorry, that is incorrect. Right. Anyway, we'll get that right. But I mean, look, I'm shocked. They are actually. Right. Okay. Last question for the night, guys. Is KDB a must given this game week, even for a hit? That's of either two of Vardy, Son, or Robbo. Would you take a hit to bring KDB in?
Let's say that again. Would you take a hit to get?
Is KDB a must, even if you have to take a hit to bring him in?
In place of whom?
Sacrifice. He's got sacrifice either two of Vardy, Son, or Robbo.
I say yes.
You think he's a must?
Yeah. Not a must, but he's worth the hit. I would sacrifice Vardy and Robbo to bring KDB in.
It's also important to note he's got good fixtures beyond this week. KDB.
Right. He has.
That's a very good point.
But again, we've had KT on. Mr. Ebenezer Chip Scrooge. He doesn't want to take hits or anything, and Sean's here doesn't want to take hits.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to take hits, and do I just wait till next week? That's
well, if you have to take a hit, a double game week is the best time for it.
True,
right?
Yeah, fair point. You've won me over. Yeah. No, fair point.
I have no problem with hits. I'll take the hit.
Take the hit.
If I want to play, I just go. I'm not a patient manager. I'm not like patient deliberate. I just go get it.
If a player, as I said earlier on, the point I made earlier, you bring a player in for a player who's not playing. You've got basically 2 games, 2 appearance points, 2 games. That's your hit neutralized. Any returns over that, you're in the positive.
Yeah, and with KDB, it's 2+1, right? Because they're going to get a clean sheet, right? So it's 3 points. Yeah.
Good part.
Absolutely.
So I would do it. As in, if I would do it, one can do it, right? I do not take hits at all. So,
yeah. Boys, that's it. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's now getting close to midnight here in Singapore, midnight in Malaysia, 10 o'clock at the night in India. Whereabouts are you again? Is it Bangalore?
Yeah, I'm from Bangalore. Yeah, I'm in Bangalore. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And it's time for Paul Gibb to go to work.
As the meeting started.
Poor Gabe to go to work. That's true. I like to work with my jersey though. I have to change.
Guys, thank you so much. It's been enlightening as ever. Gabe, your stuff on the matchups as ever is first class, and I see you're now getting some plaudits from some very, very high profile accounts on Twitter. So congratulations, mate.
I'm floored by that response. I'm so appreciative. Thank you.
No,
well deserved.
You don't need to thank us. We should thank you. It's super. Siva, I love your podcast. It's amazing. Same with Sam, although he does keep talking about Bruno. So I'm on the fence about that a little bit. But there you go. I'd only say to everybody, Gabe and Sean as well, do give Siva and Sam a listen, because I find it. I was watching I was listening to it walking around the condo trying to keep fat as usual, and I found myself just nodding all the way around, apart from the room. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and Sean, thank you very much. You're just a beacon of calm. A beacon, I thought the wrong word. You're just so calm, and I love it. And I think what people don't know, and you're so you're so honest and everything. I'm going to tell everybody, even if you didn't. You finished 222nd last year, didn't you? I did. 222nd in the world last year.
Thank you. Yeah, I did.
Not bad.
Now I'll hide. Now I'll go hide.
We'll give you the plaudits, bastard.
Thank you. Now I'll go hide. Now I go hide. Okay, that's that's a little too much. Now I'll go hide.
No, thanks, guys. And Sean, I know you've been heavily involved in the Road to Global Glory and with Adji and everything, and that's at the moment a little bit on the back burner. But you're welcome on with me anytime, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people who want you on their shows as well. So thank you. Same for Joe.
Thank you.
Same for KT as well, who joined us earlier. That's that, guys.
Congratulations, Mariner. This is fantastic.
Sorry, hang on. Yeah, I'll come bring you back. Thank you. No, it's lovely to start, and the good thing is as I said earlier, I'm used to the systems and things because I've worked similar ones when I've been hosting Expectations. It's not too difficult. But no, thank you. And I'd love to have you all on again.
Thanks a great lot.
Our pleasure, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks
a great lot. Great time. Great time.
And again, if you need me for anything, just let me know. It will be my pleasure. All right, guys. All the best.
Bye, everyone.
So that's that. That's the grand opening of Net That Hall. I've given all the guys the shout outs. Please, I'll put the comments, the Twitter handles and everything else in the comments below. Please do give this video a like. Please give it a subscribe. Please hit the bell. And till the next time, I wish you calm seas, fair FPL wins. And if you are lucky enough to be bench boosting with 15 times 2, smash it. Oh, and I hate you. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.